hate when guys text you, did you take the plan B? No. I forgot.
Sit back. Put my shit back on this fucking porch. Yeah. I saw you when you got out the motherfucking car. You tried it. Put my shit back on this motherfucking porch. Sure. You done lost your motherfucking mind. You don't come up on my shit and took my shit. You got it. You lucky. You got it. You lucky. You got it. Motherfucker. You see this motherfucker just tried to take the car?
All right, guys. What's good? What's good? What's good? And always, yes. As you know, I go by name Chaos Rain here, the one and only Chaos. And today's stream, I had to go back and bring back something that I've done during the first infancy stages of my YouTube career here on YouTube. And some other things I do want to share as well that caught my attention. But before I give you the title for today's stream, if you're new to the Chaos Rain channel, welcome. Welcome to the Chaos Rain channel. As always, I appreciate. I'm very grateful. And for those that will tune in the future, you know what to do. You hit that red button. Let me see what the red button is. Yes, red button's on the bottom, on the right corner of your phone or your laptop or whatever. You hit that subscribe button. Then you hit that top notification bell for uploads and live streams here at the Chaos Rain channel. Also, if I didn't say this once, I'll say it. Hit that like button as you come in. And share as well. I think somebody could use this. And also, on every video, no matter big, small, boring, or etc., leave a comment. I'm looking forward to read your comments in every upload or live stream here on the Chaos Rain channel. And the reason why I always keep reiterating why commenting is very important, no matter the situation, is because feedback is important. You hate it, I like to hear from it. You like it, I do want to hear from it. You hate my guts, even better, I like to hear it. The point is, all engagement is engagement nonetheless. And the purpose of everything, for those that do listen to the content, every content creator does want to see we put in the comment sections. Don't be fooled that some people say they don't read it or they don't pay attention. They do. They do. And there's much more greater intentions why people do focus on the comment section. Now, as you know, the rules of YouTube, you must be at least cordial with your comments. If it seems irrational or inappropriate, most likely YouTube will do is saying that they're cyberbots that will snipe the comments depending how lewd your mouth is and how you don't type well in the comment section of every video of every content creator here on YouTube. So please be mindful. It probably will be posted, and sometimes I will get a chance to read it. And how I know, because sometimes I know people do put comments, but it's never shown. Good evening. And for those that's wondering if I should open this up for this particular stream, if you want me to open it up for y'all commentary, please let me know. And as I'm looking through both devices, I'm just trying to find something out. Okay, good. I'll give you a few minutes. Also, I forgot to tell you, I do have a Discord server as well. And like always, I'm not active, but like always, I am growing the server nonetheless, which I will be active once I see more people adding onto the server. As you know, I will put things on my Discord from time to time. Matter of fact, I'll probably go and find something right now to put on there right now because I don't want to forget about this. Let me see. Okay. Let me get my mouse. And normally I should have did this earlier, but you know how things are because I'm pressing for time. I do things very odd. Okay. As I'm looking now, all right. I'm probably gonna add something now to the server. 1 second, people. As I'm looking through everything. All right. All right. I'm trying to find something here. Give me a second, guys. All right. Hold on, guys. I'm trying to find something here. It's gonna be a little challenging. And maybe, hell, I might have some special guests might pop up on my stream. Who knows? Okay. And one more. And one more thing. There we go. All messages has been sent. So we can rock and roll. And I'll probably be moved back and forth looking at the chat. Okay. So what's today's subject for those that want to know? I'm glad you asked. Hold on. I'm trying to find my video. Did I put it up here? What's going on here? Hold on, guys. Something happened. Yeah, something just happened. Damn it. Okay, I found it. Hey, what's good, Shatter? Shatter. I'm probably gonna have you up here. I'm gonna drop the link right now because this is gonna be a lengthy one, and I don't want to waste more time. So let me do that right now for my good boy Shatter. Matter of fact, Shatter, if you on Facebook, I will give it to you. And eventually I'll open up for everybody else to come up. Let me see. Where are you on Facebook, Shatter? Let me find you. Where are you? Okay, I found you, guy. If you want to come up, Shatter, I'll drop the link on Facebook. All right, there we go. Oh, don't worry, Shard. You have work in the morning. A little late night won't hurt you. You know how you are. You're here. You have always asked a lot of questions. But nonetheless, the show must go on. All right, today's stream is titled Social Media Dis-ease, Volume 2, the Remix Edition. Now, as y'all know, Sam Backman and a gentleman had a conversation of the effects of social media back in the early 2000s. But before I replay that audio clip I done, I want to really move forward to something that was, I can't say disturbing, but something I came across that was mentioned by the one and late great Barry White that died now roughly almost 19 years ago. And this is something I did not know of until I came across searching for the net. And he said some things that was very important, especially what is here, what's to come. So I'm going to pull up that particular video as I find it now. Let me see, where did I put it? I see there, bro. Matter of fact, all right, wait, hold on. Let me find it right now. Actually, before I find it, let me cancel. And then bring Shatter up as I look for it. What's good, Shatter Star Gamer?
Yo, what's good, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you good. I hear you good, bro. What's good? What's good? All right, that's good. Let me find this video. As you do, you could talk a little bit with amongst the crowd.
Yeah, man. I was just checking out the stream, bro. I was just looking at the title and shit, man. I was just seeing what you had to say on that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's something I had to go back in the moment of time, Shatter, because this is something I did talk about after streaming it back in 2019, I believe. And it was one of many it was actually streamed and it kind of messed up, so I had to upload of it, but it was much clearer on the upload. But the purpose now is when we look at the times we're in now, that we have no idea how deep the control we have and what we're doing now that's affecting not ourselves but younger people. So let me see, is this the one?
I got you. Yeah, I got a special tech stream coming up tomorrow, man. So stay tuned, man. I might get you the co-host on it, man. Doing some
Excellent.
PC stuff tomorrow.
Okay, good. You know the time when you gonna do this?
Hopefully I'm gonna try to start it up around maybe 3 o'clock, anywhere from 3 to 8 o'clock, like an open window. You know what I mean?
All right. If I'm available, I will chime up because I think I might be out about around that time, possible. But like I said, we shall see. But we'll keep that in the low for now. I think this is it. Let's look. I should find it earlier. Where is he? Where is Barry? Hold on, guys. I got to dig it up because when I was doing this thing, I was supposed to. I thought I had it on deck. I don't. Let me see where I did put it. I gotta look at my archives to find it. Find the name of it. Yeah.
Did you see that new story on those new battery technologies they just brought out yesterday?
No, can you inform the people what it is?
It's like nuclear diamond batteries,
Mm-hmm.
and
Wait.
basically what it is.
You mean a diamond battery?
Yeah, it's a nuclear diamond battery.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what is
Basically,
that?
basically what it is it's using carbon-14, which is a byproduct of most fission nuclear plants. It's a byproduct carbon-14, and they use it to create mini diamonds. And then when the
Mm-hmm.
mini diamond is exposed to a radiation field, it creates electricity.
Interesting. Is it cost efficient? The same.
It lasts for 28,000 years. Is what they're saying. I don't know how. I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but if it lasts longer than 20 years, it'd be great.
Yeah. Well, they always had a technology personally of things lasting long and power that's not really needed. Like how we paying for power. what Tesla has created back a century ago, if you remember. But they stole most of the blueprint that Tesla alleged left. You get me?
Well, thorium, they were using that thorium nuclear battery in the size of it was about the size of a shoebox, and it was supposed to produce enough energy daily to generate enough energy for one American home for 50 years. Just the
Okay.
thorium. The thorium couldn't be used as nuclear grade weapons technology. And it was slightly radioactive. I can understand why they probably didn't want it, but it was just a easier way. Thorium was being able to use, but they didn't like it because they couldn't use it for weapons grade nuclear.
Oh, okay. So they want it to last longer for nuclear weapons. That's what they want to use it for.
They always want to have multiple uses for that old stuff, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What is Barry White? I'm gonna try to find Barry White. Where is? Oh, I found it. Okay. So let me see if I could now look up my file. Is Black Focus? That's it. That's the only if I'm trying to look for Black Focus. Where it is? Oh, you know what I should do? I should type it up. Um,
Yeah, I saw a clip recently of Barry White explaining about what
yeah,
you said
yeah,
about
yeah,
technology and
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. That's the one that's somewhat I'm trying to find now. All right, so I'm probably gonna go to videos and see what's there. Oh, hold on. Charge that with shit. Oh fuck. Okay. Yeah, I was sitting on something. All right. Mindful. Be patient, people, because at times I have to type it up because something that I edited, but go ahead. Okay, is this the one? This look like this is the one. Oh no, it didn't pop up. Oh god damn it. Hold on, guys. I now have to go do it the old-fashioned way. Black.
Yeah, I think Mr. Barry was a lot more than just a soul singer, wasn't he?
Yeah, black. All right, black focus. Is this the one?
Change. Defined by Webster as the act.
Yeah, I found that, but I edited this bad boy. I don't know why the f I cannot find this fucking video. Wait a minute. This thing did not finish edit. Oh god damn it! This is not good. Because I'm looking now, I see the file, but
Did you edit it in YouTube Studio?
no, man. I thought I finished edit that bad boy. All right, so I'm gonna have to probably fast forward then because this, I guess I didn't. I don't have it for some reason. If I did, had it. Now I'm looking now. Big Focus Very White, 4080p. I hate the stagnation, but you know it was the issue trying to. I thought I did this bad boy already. Reality and Life by. Let me just look at these files. Okay. Black Community Child CT. Yeah. I think I did not. I did not finish edit that bad boy. I swear I cut it out and did it, but it's no longer. I don't think I did move the file, so I got no choice but to possibly play it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to probably share and play because it's not that beautiful. So it's fine. I'll improvise. I'll just have to share what I have, and it's gonna have to fast forward. You know, like doing this crap, but there's no choice. Like yeah, so
Live production, man. Live production.
This is as live as it get, people. All right, black. Hold on. Let me go to my desktop. I'll find it here. Good thing I had you up here, bro. My community. Okay, 428. All right, so this is the one.
Defined by Webster as the act of passing from one phase to another.
I'm going to
Our
have to
guest
probably
today
fast
comes
forward,
from
guys.
What kind of life, what kind of childhood was yours, Barry?
Now, as you know, the purpose of going through this one, because there's some things to understand Barry, you understand that on his mind, but what he as foresee the future, what is to come personally. And mind you, this was dated back the birth of You Shatter Star, 1983. This is 39 years ago.
Yeah, Doug. I was just crazy because I saw that. I was like, man, he was speaking on this like before I was even born.
And here's the funny thing about this. What happened during the 80s? If people can remember, what was so precious about the 80s? Does anybody know? And Queen's Virtue, you're in the chat room as well. If you want to come up, my sweetie, ask me and I'll put the StreamYard for you to come up if you would like. If you recall, during the 80s, a lot of things has happened. One, we started to see and notice a lot of movies dealing with sci-fi and technology. Can you recall that?
Yeah, that definitely that, and a lot of Cold War stuff.
Yeah, but the one thing that I could remember around that time was really they start introducing a lot of more technology. Because
That's
if you
true.
think about most of the money, high paid movie that was made, and pretty really want to be honest, was the videos, Viva music videos start to come around and gave the so-called record labels an extra added boost, and was the most they ever sold records was in the 80s because with the help of the visuals, including technology, i.e. Short Circuit, Robocop, Terminator,
Blade
and
Runner.
they came out 80s? Okay. And the one popular one that people don't really talk about much, but it was one that had 3 movies, Back to the Future.
Yeah, Back to the Future was definitely was that Robert Zemeckis, I think it was, who did that, wasn't it?
I believe so. Yes. Oh yeah. So these were the height of, if you think about it, the 80s, where they were start introducing technology, and during that time, computers start to come around too, i.e., Apple products, especially. It was
Right,
founded in the late 70s,
IBM stuff.
but it really started come surface and really made serious money in the early 80s, particularly I think 84, I believe. I could be wrong.
Yeah, it was the original PC. You know, you had the old IBM stuff, and then Apple jumped ahead of the game a lot because they had their own chips at that point. You know what I'm saying? Before they actually went over to the Intel based stuff in the future, but they had their own chipset. Wozniak was building those boards themselves. That's why their stuff was so efficient, even still to this day.
Mm. Yeah, and I think Microsoft didn't come around to like early 90s, I believe. I think they might have been around in the 80s, but usually I didn't really hear much from Microsoft till like really 1990.
Yeah, they were mostly software, man. They were mostly software, and of course, Gates, stole the DOS from his buddy, and you know the story on that. But
Mhm.
IBM was doing all the hardware stuff. You know what I'm saying? And DOS was just the extension to be able to run those disks and run those operating systems as just a single command line operating system that he eventually, you know, we know now evolved into Windows.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So as we go into, and I'm gonna run it now, guys, so you can hear it. Barry White in his explanation of it. Let's begin.
Very simple. We didn't have a lot of the materialistic treasures that one of them could have as growing up. My mother did the best she could with what she had to work with. It was my mother, my brother, and myself. And we didn't have a lot of money. We didn't have cars. We didn't have things that people normally look upon as being successful. But we had a lot of love. And my mother has always taught us fair play, positive thinking. Barry White's no different than many other black young men coming out of the poverty areas and the ghettos of America.
What is the way out, Barry? I mean, let's be for real. Let's talk frank about the things that you possess. You don't possess the ability to read or write music.
Right.
And yet you are compared with Gershwin.
To know music is to feel it. It is not to read it. It is not to write it. It's a great philosophy to be able to read and write man's interpretation of music. But music's own interpretation is to feel it. It's no different than the Africans or the Brazilians or the Latin Americans, the Puerto Ricans, who all are into different rhythms. It's a feeling, and music is a feeling. And I think that no different than most other black people, I was blessed with the talents of rhythm, the sense of direction when it comes to clarity of music, listening, appreciation. My mother is greatly responsible for my ears. She played a lot of classical music when we were coming up. And so I've gotten the exposure of classical, the exposure of Latin, the exposure of jazz, the exposure of rock and roll, country, gospel is where I'm from. So all of those different approaches of music is all wrapped up in Barry White's creativity.
What would you say is the correct adage to crossing the bridge that you crossed so valiantly from black to white at the same time? When you hit the market, you were a sensational crossover artist.
The music relating to people. Love is something everybody relates to. Ever since Barry White began, his philosophy has always been about love. Love is a very powerful force, and in many ways the most positive force on this planet. And I just think that all nationalities of people, it doesn't matter where they all relate to love. You can say, I love you to any language to a woman, she'll understand it. It's a universal language. Love is definitely a universal language.
Music has been your life and has been good to you. You started out how? Where did you first make your inroads into?
Now, I know most people, depending on their age, this might not seem entertaining, but I want you to follow me for a second to really, before he goes into his predictions. You have to understand the character of what he is to where he was and what he projects the future, past, present, and future. Now, as y'all know, I maybe listened to a few songs from Barry White. I'm not saying I'm a Barry White fan per se, but I do respect mostly older men and women that do music back in the past. Because when we listen to our music now in the 21st century, or at the end of the last 20th century, it has gotten so diluted and very much demonic that you cannot feel anything now but death and destruction and degeneracy.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of it is vibration based, and
They lowered the hertz. Yeah.
right, that, and also just the topic of a lot of the music, how it's gotten so toxic now, and that's why sometimes just to clearing, being a producer myself, I have to sometimes I can't listen to a lot of contemporary music and then go and try to make a track because I'm gonna be trying to create what I just heard, and I like to go back. That's why I sometimes do a little sampling. I sometimes reinterpolate songs from the 70s, from the 80s, specifically. Even sometimes some stuff from the 60s. not as much because the vibration and what they were saying, the actual lyrics, the spiritual part of the lyrics, it actually meant something. You actually heard something at the end of that song, and it actually was love in that song. You felt the love. You know, a lot of stuff we hearing now, we even in some of the music they try to call R&B nowadays, I don't hear much love in it.
And you know, when I hear the R&B, since we going there, the thing that gets to me with the R&B is there's not really a sense of why you're in love. It's more like, you know, how can I say it? I don't know if I can say it right. It's more of an individual, independent type direction. You know, I get mine's, maybe you get yours, possibly, or some type of
Right.
unusual sex that leads to, you know, like some form of extra porn. The R&B now, you get me? Usually, when love or the thought of love, it usually hits you in the subconscious mind, where your visuals lead to the movement of your body. You could feel what is going to possibly happen when R&B of the 90s will tell you how they want to make love. It's like a take time slow type of thing to get your mood into the right, so the woman's body gets to the position of really, you know, getting down. You feel me, Shatter?
Vibrations, man. I'm feeling
Yeah,
you, man. Smooth
yeah,
vibrations.
yeah, yeah. This type wham bam thank you man type of shit is more like some like this, yeah. I get my point, but anyway, let's continue on. And always the fair use. Oh, and one thing I forgot to do this. I have this now. I didn't notice this.
Music.
In Los Angeles, in Hollywood, when I was 17. From 1961 up until 1971, Barry White was struggling, very tough, and it was very rough out there. Hollywood at that time was white orientated. They were primarily rock. A few black artists would come out of there, but nobody ever made any definite impressions. So LA was looked upon as the West Coast sound, the rock thing, you know. Most of the hits was coming out of New York and Philadelphia, Detroit, Chicago. I was just fortunate. I was just fortunate. And I was told to leave Los Angeles. You're not going to make it here. Go to Detroit, go to Motown, go to Stax Records in Memphis. Go somewhere where they can relate to you, Barry White. You're not going to make it here. But I have been taught all my life that if there's a will, there is definitely a way.
Somebody offered you that way. It wasn't what you really wanted, but hand clapping got you into music, right?
That's true, Jay. My first $100 that I earned in the record industry was clapping my hands on a record called Tossing an Ice Cube. Leon Rene was the owner of Class Records at that time. They had Bobby Day, Rockin' Robin, Eugene Church, Pretty Girls. And I was very thrilled to meet Leon Rene. And they were doing a session on a song, hand clapping thing, and they had hired a lot of people from the union to try to clap this difficult time. And I was sitting there, and I told a friend of mine that invited me to the session, I can do that rhythm. Then I went in there, in one take, we had it.
And that was the launching
That was the
pad.
beginning.
Then what happened?
Nothing.
For how long?
For about 4 months. Then I got called for this group called the Upfronts to sing bass, and I was delighted because I had made up my mind I'm going to start moving out of this poverty situation into a more positive situation. So any jobs that came up, I was very honored, I was very enthusiastic, I was very committed, you know. I found all my life, Jay, that commitment, attitude, and loyalty to oneself is key factors of success. And that means you can do anything you want to do. If you're committed to it, if you're loyal to yourself and your craft, you'll make it.
Mm-hmm. And you
Now, one thing that touched me is Barry White, like most, I would say, silent generations, had a work ethic like no other. not saying most of us don't have that now, but back then, when you really determined that you really was going to either sink or swim, he was one of the men that took the initiative, said that I'm going to, if anything I take, I'm going to be grateful because it's another opportunity for a bigger role down the line.
Well, I love that optimism that he just shared, man. The optimism alone, and I learned something new right there. I did not know his first dollars from the record industry was from him clapping his hands. Made $100 clapping his hands on one take on a track, and to go to, you know what I'm saying, mega star soul singer Barry White. You know, the humble beginnings, and then like he said, the compassion of just doing it. You know, I'm sure that he would have rather been, you know, the solo singing artist on that song, but he took that clapping hands gig and made the most of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And now he made, but he stick with it and say, I want something further beyond. You get me? And like I say, he positioned himself just to get into it and say, I'm going to play my role now, but I'm going to eventually expand where I need to be, where I really need to be personally. You get me? And
Yeah, I mean,
so forth.
he was being an Indian, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that he was a chief, but I tell people this all the time, I say it
Mm-hmm.
again. The greatest chief is the one who was an Indian first, because he knew the job of the Indian, and that
Mm-hmm.
way he could be a more better leader and a better chief, because he knew the humble beginnings where you had to start. He knew the job of the Indian, and he didn't look down on them. You know what I mean? As a chief, and he cared about each one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, not sending them unnecessarily to their deaths or into a situation that they may not be able to overcome. He wanted to be able to arm the Indians with what he knew as an Indian would allow him to survive and thrive. So, you know, I say that always in a leadership position. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of people that just got into leadership without
Jay
being
Johnson,
in
your
the
host, and this
struggle, you know what I'm saying? They
Yep.
lack in some of the Indian spirit, you know, of learning how to, you know,
head,
play your
and the
part.
success has been
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Keep going. I'm just doing something.
Yeah, no, he his optimism though, when he said that, he was like, you know, where there's a will, there's a way. Very optimistic. You know, I don't hear him, you know, doing some talking points and saying, you know, how oppressed he was. He was saying, yeah, I came from humble beginnings, but you know, where there's a will, there's a way. Is a eternal optimist, and I respect that in Mr. White on that.
Mm-hmm. I respect that as well. I very much respect that as well. As I know, I actually was able to get it done that quick, so I do have the actual video cut down. So I'm gonna keep running this, and I'm gonna change tables or change views. So let's keep going.
phenomenal. How many gold records do you now possess?
We're probably at 68 now. I've stopped counting, Jay. 68 gold and 31, 32 platinum. That's worldwide.
Explain a
Good
platinum record
Lord.
to our listeners.
Mm-hmm. And you know, platinum back then, a lot of money. If you reached a plateau back then.
Yeah, man. It was before they changed the stuff now, like it is now. Right? Was the gold then was what 500,000 copies
Yeah.
sold?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree. Wait. Oh, all right. Let's keep going.
Platinum means 1,000,000 units sold on an album or more. To sell platinum 45, you must sell 2 million. It's the crossover factor. It's the factor that so many people relate to the music, to the concept, to love. And I am very grateful to my fans, to the people who gave Barry White a chance, who are still giving him a chance, to you, Jay, who've been a friend throughout my career, the city, your listeners. There's many people responsible for Barry White sitting here with you today besides Barry White. Trust me.
You're kind.
Trust me.
Let me ask you, Barry, about the entire entourage. Now, there is Barry White, then there is Love Unlimited, then there's the Love Unlimited Orchestra,
Yes.
then there's Unlimited Gold Records.
Yes.
Pick a number and go from there.
It's Love Unlimited, which is my heart. Linda, Diane, and Glodine. And Glodine is my wife. That's the greatest artist I've ever known, was Love Unlimited. And they are all married now. Linda's living in Switzerland. Dee Dee's living in Pomona, California, and Glodine's living with me. So everybody's fine and tucked away. They were the beginning. That was my first hit record I ever had in my life, was on Love Unlimited, Walking in the Rain with the One I Love in 1972. And it's the Love Unlimited Orchestra I named after Love Unlimited because I centered more things around them. I could have called it Barry White Orchestra, but I love Love Unlimited spirit so much. What they represent to me is the utopia of an artist. The orchestra, I have always loved instrumental songs over hearing songs sang with artists.
Oh, make sure you guys like the stream, share the stream as well. And what else? And also, please leave a comment at the end of this video. I want to hear from you as well. Let's continue.
I like instrumentals. I created the Love Unlimited Orchestra. I've always loved instrumentals. And when I remember when I went to Russ Regan, who was then 20th Century's president, and told him that I wanted to do an orchestra album, he looked at me like I was out of my mind because there was no instrumentals. That we've had scattered instrumentals during the years, Quiet Village, this one or that one. But Love Theme came from Love Unlimited's album, which I wrote for them. That was their theme. And it became a #1 record worldwide, and that enabled me to create the Love Unlimited Orchestra.
All right, let's talk about Unlimited Gold, his own record company, as Black Focus continues.
All right, let's stop it. So I'm going to take this one down. And I'm going to probably bring this one up because I was able to find the actual video. As you know, back then, like Barry said, instrumentals were scattered out. And I think they were always scattered out throughout the music industries. I think up to the 90s, maybe 2000s. And I'm not really well versed in it, but if I did a little more digging, I know for a fact that usually with American music, as we all listen to, that people always get control of their copyrights and certain sounds for certain songs in their musics. Now,
Mechanical royalties, right?
There you go. And I think this is only custom throughout the West. Outside America, if people listen to other music like Afro beats or even Caribbean music, they don't go by that junction. If they make a one-tune beat, usually everybody can sample it. And I think the reason why, because the mindset of music outside America is more freer. One person could voice a tune on one beat, while another person could voice the same tune and a different song on that same beat, and have the song as their own.
You got that here too. They mostly call it covers, and you have people that do covers and cover bands. But now that a lot of these people that we're speaking of in these eras are dead, so either the record company took over their royalties or their family got it, and for whatever purpose they may not have stepped in the steps of their father or their mother, whoever was doing it, and a lot of them just sold it out. You know what I'm saying? And then got the mechanical royalties, either that's through the streaming or the sales. And, you basically got to license that now. But back in the day, yeah, it was way easier to sample stuff. And it wasn't, as easy to steal people's music and use it. So, the laws was way different. But now with the international copyright law and the DMCA and all this stuff now they got now, you got to be really careful about who you sample, how you sample it, if it's over a 4, if it's the part of the song where it's just like Robin Thicke got in trouble for sampling that song, and they told him up.
Marvin Gaye?
It was Marvin Gaye. Yeah, it was Marvin Gaye. Yeah, they told him up about that one.
And it should, because that's his family still reap the rewards off his catalog. You get me?
Exactly.
Which it was smart. I think Martin, there's like a conspiracy going around with a lot of these artists when they find themselves their lives has been taken or something happens after you hear they get control of the catalog. Now I remember what's his name? Fly said that most catalogs that these artists are selling back to the labels or something because they need the money and they're not making much money for what I'm hearing. But I'm thinking that depends on what catalog you have. Now there are some artists that are well worth their catalogs being kept by them if they able to control the copyright of it. And there are some artists that, let's be honest, your music either was good or not. It not really, you're not really making money off it per se because it depends on how many albums or singles you create that was really relevant that people could still go back and say, I remember this song. They could play a song. I remember personally one artist said it best. What was his name? I'm not sure it was Barris Heyman or it's a Caribbean artist. He said, if your song cannot be played for 10 years or still be heard after 10 years or whatever case he said, you're not really an artist per se. And
I can understand that. I think now, even more so now, I don't even think it's 10 years nowadays. If you just look at some of the artists that were so hot, the one hit wonders, and maybe they even had an album, a couple of good singles on it, and they wash them out, man. They clone them. They clone them within the first 2 years, and then they wash them out. And you know what I'm saying? And they don't last long. And I think that's important for the record labels. That way they can, once you've used up your once you use up your valuable time to them, they just wash you out because it's easier now to sign a person to a 360 deal, give them $50,000 or $100,000 up front, and believe it or not, a lot of times they wind up on the label money because they force them to use their producers, things of that nature. They start to charge you for different stuff, like by the time you get done, a lot of these cats, they're young. They don't have any legal representation. They go on with the legal people at the label, and they 360 them out. And then you see people 5 years down the road, they be broke, and you be like, damn, how did they, get broke like that? And a lot of times these 360 deals, Prince fought hard for his shit, man. He even, his story. He changed his name to a symbol. I think it was Columbia that had his shit. He was going to war with Columbia over that shit, and he was telling young brothers how to get their royalties and not to sell out. Master P also was a pioneer in independent record labels, and even Jay Prince, they rap a lot, and Irv Gotti to a lesser extent, as well. You know what I'm saying? Where they was trying to actually put that stuff together, and you see what happened to a lot of those brothers who was trying to basically unionize their own stuff. Scandals. Cue the scandals here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And think about it. We never understand why these artists, even now, because music has not really lived up to par like it used to. And I'm hearing from Sly how some are selling it now. Oh, good. Okay, let me pause it. I'm at the spot. Good. That personally, that when I look at the worth of an artist and what their work is really worth, I look at is as long as you sign to these labels that's run by other hired entities, right? Which we know who runs the music industry. That is a mafia in itself, personally. And like most mafias, they're here to collect their check, keep their money, and mob rule most of the people that runs around them. You get me? And it can be a dangerous game, I mean, I heard things.
If you're going against the mob, if you're going against the mob and you're going against the grain, and you're popular, it could be a very dangerous game. Just look at and I think they use drugs as a weapon, right? It was one lady that was explaining how she was part of an OGA, other government agency, who was given the drugs and would go to the parties, infiltrate, and offer the drugs up to the people and get them to promote the drugs in the songs, as well as have the artist to do the drugs. And then after a while, if that person just so happens to do an overdose, it's like, oh, okay, well, he was rapping about doing that drug, so he was, singing about the drugs, so automatically you just say, oh yeah, overdose, so when Michael Jackson and Prince and you
Mm-hmm.
name it, Whitney Houston, all these different people,
Mm-hmm.
die of overdoses.
Mm-hmm.
As fans and as people in the culture, we just, a lot of times say, hey, they was on that drug, we heard about that, and then their deaths is swept underneath the rug as an overdose, and no one else asks
Yeah,
any questions.
because the suicide is easy to cover up. Personally, you know what I'm saying. And and here's the funny thing. I'm not saying the artists walk into their deaths, but let's be honest, they actually did intentionally walk into it because you created a paper trail for them to really, let's say, wash their hand, especially when it comes to drugs, especially drugs.
Right, right,
So
right.
if
Just
you're
like that one guy.
artists,
What was his name? The one white guy. Damn, I can't remember his name, man. Big white dude. In the Rock. Damn, what was his name? It wasn't Lennon. It was another guy, man. More recent. With his girlfriend was I think him and his girlfriend was doing the drug. I can't think of the name, but he was on that the suicide watch and all that. You know what I'm saying? And he had got off the drugs allegedly, and once that happened, it seemed like Kurt Cobain. That was Kurt Cobain.
mm-hmm,
Remember the Kurt Cobain deal? You know what I mean? And it's
mm-hmm,
so easy to just drop it off, and you can even use something as recent as Pimp C. How they came out on the news. Oh yeah, Pimp C overdosed on lean. They said it on the news. They had people that was in the industry parroting the narrative, and yet rest his soul and rest his mother's soul as well. She got up there and she said, "Hey man, I went and got the autopsy report, and it did not say that." You know what I mean? And that was swept under the rug.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And all good intentions because you gotta wash your hand clean when it's time to really collect. And let's be honest, even when Shaka Khan was confronted with her agent or her manager, man told her personally that scared the shit out of her. And mind you, she knows Saint Ida because one time I heard stories. She usually drives up to certain parts of I don't know school systems or school places or something, and she be opening her her limo door, and be having these young black males or men in general, but usually black males to get between her crutches and suck her off. You hear about that?
That was a new one right there, man. I ain't heard about that one.
You hear about it? Yeah, man. They said it told stories about Shaka. She used to like her kitty be sucked out, eat out, and usually finds some attracted young males, particularly black males. And I said, "Oh, really? Yeah." But like I said, women, these are women that's in the business. They need to get some extra release. Oh, and like, my friend said? Sugar Fly, Chris Benoit. Yeah, we could say Chris Benoit too. The thing with wrestlers is a little bit more iffy, personally. And the reason why I say is because usually in wrestling, you can't really profit off of death, off wrestling, personally, in my
Right,
opinion.
right. Because after you don't do any more matches and no more shows, without the merch and all that, you just they just get someone else to fill your place, right?
Always, it's always a replacement. I mean, you think what happened to Owen Hart when he met his death, like 24 years ago?
That was
Or
sad, man.
actually 22 years ago, because they said it was 1999, but it's been a long time. It's been a generation now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Anyway, let's keep going because we have a lot of streaming.
On this edition of Black Focus, I'm Jay Johnson, your host. And just prior to going to the break, Barry, we were talking about Love Unlimited Gold Records. What I want to ask you is, in a time when folks are having so many problems with record companies, when I say people, I'm talking about executives, and so many companies are folding because of taping, how do you survive, a black man with a black company?
Now, if you could recall, Shatter, and what they're saying is taping, I think the tape recorder came around in the end of the 70s. I could be wrong. Came out no
Yeah,
time.
they was doing a lot of reel to reel back then. That's how a lot of stuff was doing reel to reel, and then they came with the ADATs. The ADATs was like the next gen digital recording, and then the tape. Basically, from the tape and then the VHS and all of that. That was like real big back then, and then they had to do something different because the tapes were so easily reproduced. You know what I mean? They had to figure something out, man. That's why, because the record labels was eating all that money. They was getting all the radio spins, all the promotional money. They was really eating back then, man. They was really eating.
Yeah. And they were eating big up to the point when technology started to surface with the rise of, digitalization. And we could say personally, AC, alternate current, and DC for those who's tech people or those who takes electronics, per se, that direct current and alternate current, two different things, but with digitalization, that was something that was always around, but it started to pick up more as we were over the midpoint of the 20th century.
Right. And then it got cheaper after it got mass produced. It started to be able to be cheaper so that you didn't have to have $1 million studio, you know what I'm saying, to start digitalizing your equipment. That still costs big money, but the price had reduced, and now it's reduced 1,000 times more because, you got PCs and the sampling and the hardware now that you can basically do a 100-piece orchestra, you know what I mean, on your PC.
Yeah, all that in the hand of your PC. But let's go into it. Let Barry White explains his take.
I am not excluded from that nightmare of piracy and bootlegging. I look at it like this, Jay. When man becomes disenchanted with just making a living, when he turns to greed, it kills him every time. These same companies who are crying, we're going out of business, we're going out of business, we're going out of business, are the same companies who make the blank tape.
Woo!
So,
hey! Did you hear what he said?
Tape with just making a living. When he turns to greed, it kills him every time. These same companies who are crying, we're going out of business, we're going out of business, we're going out of business, are the same companies who make the blank tape. Excluded from that nightmare of piracy and bootlegging. I look at it like this, Jay. When man becomes disenchanted with just making a living, when he turns to greed, it kills him every time.
Hey, that's some serious shit.
Who are crying, we're going out of business, we're going out of business, we're going out of business, are the same companies who make the blank tape. I look at it like this, Jay. When man becomes disenchanted with just making a living, when he turns to greed, it kills him every time. These same companies who are crying, we're going out of business, we're going out of business, we're going out of business, are the same companies who make the blank tape. I look at it like this, Jay. When man becomes disenchanted with just making a living, when he turns to greed, it kills him every time.
Pause that right there, Cal. Pause that.
Companies who are crying, we're going out of business, we're going out of business, we're going out of business, are the same companies who make the blank tape.
Now, let me say something. See, this is why old artists that understand their purpose and what they love and do, he's not telling you that he was for the bootleg. He doesn't like it like anybody else, but he understands the nature of the beast. Once you're compelled with greed, it will destroy you in time.
You lose the original aspect of what you was going for, and what he said was right. You know, once you go past and you become disenchanted from making a living, you know what I'm saying, and you start to resort to greed. I want all of it. So
Yes.
in the metaphor of what the record labels were doing, that was, you know, having, let's just say, you know, Sony, okay, right? Who created the compact disc? Okay, who created the burning of the compact disc? Sony, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now, who did Sony buy? Universal. So, you know, who is most of, you know what I'm saying, black artists underneath Universal and Sony, right?
Mm-hmm.
And where is the most of the bootlegging affecting? It's affecting artists. You know what I'm saying? You know, so they were so greedy. They said, well, you know what? Let's just buy the recording medium and we'll sell that to let other people, you know, bootleg it. And we'll still make the money off the bootleg tapes too,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
destroying your artist's money in the process.
Yeah. Yeah. And the saddest thing about this, that they complain about the change, but behind closed doors, you are inventing your demise for this change. You cannot have it both ways. Yes, technology is a necessity and is important for all evolving civil, and I use the word civil loosely, civilization. We are not exempt from it, much less we should be afraid of it as people. To those that are afraid of change and technology are the ones that by default was never prepared and not embracing the, the change. And like anything, you be left to the wayside, personally. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
What Barry White said, which I repeat many times, and I'll probably play one more time for those in the back to listen, because you must understand, people, it's going to go over your ear drums a little bit. It's going to go one end and go out the other, because you don't really conceptualize or understand the, not the metaphor, but the deep message of what Barry just said to you. He knows he's not exempt to change. And he's going to go in detail why. So let me repeat this. Let me go back and repeat it one more time.
Run it.
And hold on, I'm trying to find it. Oh. All right. All right. Okay. There we go. We're going to run it.
I look at it like this, Jay. When man becomes disenchanted with just making a living, when he turns to greed, it kills him every time. These same companies who are crying, we're going out of business, we're going out of business, we're going out of business, are the same companies who make the blank tape. So you have a record division and a tape division. The blank tape enables one to record music today. Technology has put everything in our hands where we can record music today without paying for it. That's too bad that the industry put that kind of weapon out there to kill themselves. I cannot expect for a person, regardless of what color he is or who he is, to want to hear a song and can't afford to buy it. I cannot blame that person for picking up his tape recorder and taping it, because we put the element in his hand to do it. We gave him permission. So how do I survive? I keep making my records. I'll keep making my records. I'll keep making my records. Some kind of way, the elements and the things that guides and guards my life takes care of Barry White.
Is there some kind
Well said. Well said. You think he stopped doing what he's doing? Absolutely not.
Yeah,
He
his
keeps
answer
putting out
was
music.
to keep putting it out. His answer was to, I'm gonna keep putting out. I'm gonna put out more music now.
And you know what? He really said that and conceptualized that, Shatter, because he knows the importance that this is out of my control, because the people that makes the thing, have intentionally done this to themselves. So, like any person that's a producer for the consumer to buy, is I gotta be consistent, keep putting out the music, and hope that the people that love and respect and want to buy the music, they'll buy it in the sincerity of their heart. That is it. Those that's gonna pirate and steal, they're always gonna do it. You're not gonna stop them. And you see, the problem with people today, even back then and even now, that don't understand because we have the ability to stream some of our music or anything, that it is free consumption for anybody to take and consume and possibly pirate easily. Now, there could be some laws put in place to regulate it, yes. It'd be helpful. But overall, as long as technology advances, people always find a way to get something for nothing.
Well, I think that they have reached zero sum game on it now, and they've already figured it out on the streaming. They've got deals now that is so intertwining with big tech and the data carriers, the people who sell the data, right? That
Mm-hmm.
they've already and then they actuaried it out. So whereas you know a person could have went gold selling his single on the album, or a person could have went platinum selling the single on the album. It's very rare, even with your big artists. It's very rare that they go platinum. You can get some platinum. You got platinum selling artists still. You know what I'm saying? You know, you can name a couple right off the muscle. You know, like you got your Drakes and Lil Wayne at his height, his peak. You know what I'm saying? Jay, of course. You know, he can always bring a platinum album to you. But
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of these guys that are hotter in the contemporary music, man, the streaming is all they got. Because the
Yeah.
streaming and the buying of the single online is all you got. A lot of people don't buy the single online; they just go to YouTube and stream it, or they go to the Spotify and stream it, or Tidal, or whatever they use.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how it is, man. So, like I said, Spotify is a good resource for a lot of things. Anyway, we should take advantage of it. Let's
Oh
keep
yeah,
going.
well, the only thing about it was like when Snowcap came around and ASCAP, Snowcap, there's a couple of other ones. Got CD Baby, Distro Kid,
Mm-hmm.
BDS, BMI, all these different people who deal with your royalties, your mechanicals, your artistry, your production, all these different things with your points. I tell artists nowadays if they come to the studio, I always explain to them, do you have your ASCAP? If the answer is no, I would tell them, hey, you coming to buy a beat from me, you want to get some recording, I'm going to charge you X amount of dollars. But look, I want you to take 50, $60, go ahead and buy your artistry so I can be able to, if you buy this beat from me, whether you're leasing it or whether you're buying the exclusive, I want you to be able to recoup your money because I've seen plenty of artists just here in Houston who would have their music on the radio spinning, and they would come back and tell me that they weren't getting paid for it. You know, they was hot local artists. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have that BDS, so they didn't get their broadcast data. They didn't get anything. Now the radio station still got paid on promotions, and everybody else involved got paid. But then the actual artist who did it wasn't getting paid. He didn't have his ass kept. So he told me specifically, make sure that you have these things. And a lot of these artists sign these 360 deals. The record company gets your ass cap and puts it underneath them. So once you basically let them do that in the contract, then they get all of your stuff and then they dole it out to you when they get ready.
I see. I see. Okay. Okay. Let's keep going.
Of underlying guideline for this? Is there some kind of way out? Is there some kind of form of survival for the artist? Let's remove you now from the company. For the artist itself.
It's a big problem, Jay. I've been to many seminars. They're trying to come up with different electronic devices to keep people from being able to record. Greed is a funny thing. Once you take a bite of it, it tends to turn on you and start eating you up. The industry was making enough money. The industry was growing fast enough. The industry was progressing enough without getting that greedy, that hoggish, becoming that bullish on money. It's a problem in America. Same thing happened to disco. It started out as an art form for the public, and everybody saw it as quick money. Naturally, we're a capitalistic country. Everybody jumped on it, and before you knew it, it was over. The record industry is no different, and we are no exception to greed and the repercussions of greed.
What can you do now if you find that the record companies are basically responsible, on one hand making the tape and on the other hand making the album? Who then is at fault?
The company is.
What are we going to do about that?
I don't know,
why
Jay.
would the consumer have to suffer?
The consumer, in my opinion, is not suffering.
The consumer began taping because the cost of
Exactly.
records.
That's right. In 1975, I was the only artist in the industry that begged the industry not to raise the prices. I begged 20th Century Records, don't raise my record prices. Number one, Jay, music is a free commodity. You're not supposed to have to pay for it. That's the first rule. Since you have to pay for it, it must be regulated. It must be handled with care, because the record business is a very lucrative business. It's the only business where a man can go to sleep tonight poor and wake up tomorrow rich man. So when you have an industry like that, everyone must beware of the temptations, of the traps that's waiting for you. What is going to happen to the new artists coming in? They're going to have to come in with a different philosophy. They can't just come into this business as a singer. They got to come in with the intentions of becoming a great singer, becoming a great songwriter, becoming their own record producer, learning what the management business is, learning what engineering is. If it's possible, they can become a musician. Fine. We are dealing with your
Facts.
life. No different than this show you do, the radio you do. If you go into work late all the time, Jay, you won't have no gig.
Make sure you guys like the stream, share the stream. I know this is one of them streams that this is not going to be spadazzle, entertaining. I'm aware of this, but the importance is to really deal with the deeper science and the aspects of control. One, you have to understand the role technology plays now, and two, the present day now in regards to social media. With the next clip I'm about, or audio I'm gonna play, in regards how this affects your minds and how you behave and how your aspect of reality and the world as you know it as being moved and shifted in a digital age. Now, Barry has been saying as something that these artists have not really learned and grasped and have not paid attention. The ones that's now existing artists and the ones that came across for the last 30 years. And this came out in the 80s. So we could probably say almost 40 years. That to be of any relevance in the 20th and 21st century, not only you have to adapt, but if you're going to be in the genre of music, you're going to have to pretty much learn and do pretty much everything. Now, back then, most people like Barry, he did not know how to play music or write music at that time. He had to sit there and learn as he goes.
And the best artists, the best artists right now, who I've seen that have the longevity, like you saying, like, you start to see that as a pattern. When I first started, I was rapping, right? And I wasn't really thinking nothing about as far as becoming a producer, so to speak. I mean, I played a couple of instruments, you know what I'm saying? But, never was crossing that over to music. I was just wanting to rap. But as I progressed, I wanted to buy songs and buy beats and buy instrumentals. The price of it was so high, and a lot of the instrumentals I didn't like them. And I would listen to stuff. So, man, I would have changed that. And I said, man, the only way for me to get the song I really want to rap on is for me to make it myself. Buy the equipment, learn how to use it. You know what I'm saying? Put your own tracks out, get your production and your artistry, and have a lawyer on so you can write your contracts up, so you don't have to. You got to become a lot of people when you're doing stuff like that, for sure. You know what I mean? The man is giving a master class right now as we listening to him for new artists. Even back then in '83, he's telling everybody what you should do, and I think a lot of it still to this day, believe it or not, is being lost because a lot of these people are still being victim to a lot of these companies and taking this easy sign-in bonus and not reading that fine print where you got to use all their producers and they, adjusting the prices to get their producer paid off. They you get this hot producer, but hey, you got to pay him $50,000 a track, $30,000 a track. You got a 20-track album, and you got to use all their producers, man. They just stacking you up with debt. You know what I'm saying? So by the time your check come out, if you'd have did them songs yourself, you get the forever royalties on that, plus your artistry. But now, once you sign your soul to the devil and take that signing bonus, hey man, and it ain't that like you got to get, they can still be promoting you. You could be hot as hell and still be broke.
You know how many artists that we know that after their careers start to dwindle, they go broke faster, especially when it comes to the male artists. And we could probably say female artists, but mostly the males more accepted to this problem. And it goes back, say, when you get signed over the age of 20 or mid 20s, depending on what age you start, you're not exempt to understanding not only law but contracts. And I'm gonna probably repeat the same story. I say, can you hear me good, Shatter? If I continue, that sound good?
Yeah, you Gucci, bro.
Okay. I know of a woman that's an artist. Now she probably don't do music like she used to. Now she probably moved on to has a career now, and she probably does it on the side because she always, when you love doing some things like music, you always want to do it as a hobby. She was there with her music to the point where she could have been signed to a label here. And one of the few things why she never went through with it is because, and mind, this is a woman now, and she was at the time when May got signed. I think roughly around almost that same age, because May got signed at 24 years old, maybe, and she was just around that, probably a year older. She didn't go through with it because she went and read the contract from head to toe, and the contract in her mind was not in her favor, and she didn't go through with it because there was too many stipulations. Now, at that time, I think if I can recall, they started doing those 360 deals. Am I right, Shatter? Around the end of the 2000s. I don't know if you can answer that, Shatter.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, bro. I was on mute. Yeah, they
I'm not
started.
sure. I'm not sure when it started. The 360 deals. What year it started to come around?
Well, the 360 deal when they started it was a little bit further on, but the way the contracts were written was already starting up then, where they were starting it. Once they got to the point of the 360 deal, they had basically had this shit down to a science of how they was gonna do the young artists because they had so many come through, and they was like, well, let's get the 360 on them. They broke. Let's give them some rental cars. Let's give them some rental jewelry, and we're gonna give them a signing bonus. Make them sign this paper, and before they know it, you the only time that you're getting any money is your production and your shows, and that's basically the only time that you're really getting some significant amount of money is production and shows. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's you listen to a lot of the independent artists and a lot of the artists that are still going who've had long careers. They will tell you that the production and the shows is where you make a lot of your bang for your buck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And here's the danger of that. And I know every artist that's signed has to be fall victim to this. That when we had this pandemic, majority of these artists did not make no money in 2020 per se. They actually took a
Yeah,
loss.
yeah, they
And
they lost a
some of
lot.
them they were struggling badly. And I'm big said, wait, how the F are you struggling? You have certain albums, certain stream music. What are you doing with your money? Or really, are you even making the money? Or the money you're only depending on is these shows? Because you know how much stress that is to depend on people buying the tickets to see you perform instead of putting out the music and performing.
Right. You know, you got to get the tour. You know what I'm saying? You got to have these tours locked in. A lot of times you're going on tour with other artists that may be your bandmates. You know, they might be on your label mates. You know what I'm saying? You go on there, they may be opening up for you. You might be the headliner. You know, they may be opening up for you. So you start to make alliances with other people that's on the scene with you, and you go back and look. You know, you can see out of all of them. I'll give a perfect example. When 3 6 Mafia, they were very smart. DJ Paul and Juicy J were very smart in doing their thing. Now they had a deal with Sony, they had a deal with Loud. Um, they basically got a deal with Selecto Hits. So basically, with Loud, what he was explaining, basically every time they sold an album back then, a CD was like $20, right?
Yeah.
So back then when they had it and they were selling for $20, DJ Paul was saying some artists were lucky to get 50 cents to a dollar. If you was getting $5 off each album sold, even if you was a platinum selling artist, if you was getting $5 off each album sold, you was doing great. Like that was good. So he decided, well, let's make up our own production company, right? Hypnotize Minds, you know, entertainment, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So they went to Selecto Hits, which is a independent distributor out of Memphis. And at Selecto, basically they would press up their stuff and distribute it. And at Selecto, he was saying that they were selling the albums for like $15 and they were getting $10 album. So that's when they was able to get a footing with Sony and Loud, as you know, Loud defunct into Sony. Basically, um, when they got the deal, they were able to make a more negotiation because they said, "Look, I'm already making $10 per album. I have platinum albums over here on my independent side. You force them to give you a better deal because they know you're making more money. So they're gonna have to fatten it up either with promotion, marketing, placement, you know, they're gonna have to make it up because you already coming to the table with something that you can say, hey, you know, I can either accept your deal or not. And the 360 to flavor it back to that, a lot of these cats is broke. They don't have their independent stuff going. They just, you know what I'm saying, street dudes, they coming out, they don't know, you know, they see $100,000 check signing bonus and they promise them the world and they so easy to sign on. And now you don't have no more negotiation power because you didn't start your indie stuff first. So now you got to rely on that, you know, that. And a lot of these cats, man, coming straight out the hood, that $100,000 check up front, you know, it sound good to them, bro.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. You give a young chipper over $250,000 or more. They are so eager to sign it without even reading anything. But like I said, the woman that I told y'all earlier, she was not really down for any money up front and just signing. But like I said, she is a rare breed, bro. And I'm not gonna mention her name personally. I think it's irrelevant. But the point I want you to follow is that if you're gonna do this music thing, personally, you're gonna have to be smart. You can't come in there just say, I do the little work or do necessary work enough just to put my foot into the door. No, to get all the way in, you gotta know what's inside the place. Scan the place. What's there? Before you say, okay, it's good to stay here.
Right,
That's
right.
a salute.
Look at the brothers who we've seen who have made that difference. You know, I model a lot of my ideas about my independence and going and getting, you know what I'm saying, the mechanicals and the royalties and stuff after brothers like Master P. You know what I'm saying? Brothers like you know, 3 6 Mafia, you know what I'm saying? I fuck with them because at the end of the day, you might not like all their music, you know what I'm saying? And it's older music, right? But you can look at what Master P done. And one thing about P is he forced everybody on the band and on No Limit to work with each other. When Mystical album was about to come out, Mystical album was going to be promoted on Silk the Shockers album. If C Murder album was finna come out, at the back of that album it was going to be, you know, Mystical's album or Big Ed or Mia X or, you know, Soldier Slim or Mr. Servon, he has so many people that he put out. Fiend, these different artists that still, is doing something to this day. Maybe on a lesser extent, but everybody had their album promoted on the back of their biggest artist. Mystical was one of their biggest, right? Mystical was one of their biggest artists. Mystical had all the younger artists who wasn't getting as much more, radio time and stuff like that was being promoted. So when you look through that, that was when the actual, CD art and tape art existed, right? You open up, you buy that CD, you open it up from the store, you read who made what song, you read what's coming new, you read the artist, how this album came to be. At the end of the album, you know what I'm saying, on the cover art, you see the new people who are coming out. If you go back and now you look at some of these newer artists and the newer cover art that the record labels put out, they're not putting out anybody else's promotional material on the current artist cover art. You see what I'm saying? And I understand why they say, well, we don't want to promote nobody else on your shit. We need to have all you on there. Well, that's cool and all, but at the end of the day, I think that feeds into that greed thing that he was talking about. Hey, I need my label mates to be up here with me. You know what I'm saying? Because you know why? I want them to have some bread too. They here for a reason. It's just my time right now, and everybody got to learn their place and their time. You know what I'm saying? And be able to be an Indian and then become a chief. Everybody gonna have time to become a chief, but most people don't want to work together and they get the selfish greediness. And I think that's what Barry was really saying on that when he was talking about that greed. He's seen that face to face. That's why he even got up here on his man's show. It even spoke on it. And man, his words is still eerily relevant to this day. And I'm glad that you brought this video up, man. It's very, very interesting, man.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It does a disservice just to talk about the technology aspect of this. I want people to really get a real better holistic feel of Barry White, of the man, even back then, even before his death, to have a clear understanding of how his mind works, how he views life, how he views music, how he views a people. That's one thing. If people didn't take anything out of this video or the stream, you should take that aspect out of this. Let's keep going because I want to move forward.
If you go to your job and only know how to do one thing, Jay, you are in serious trouble. Any kind of person who is looking for a living, to earn his own living, a lot of people play with this record business, man. They use this glamour as a beautiful little bubble to flash in front of the outer world. But that bubble is very dangerous. The record industry has split up more families than it's put together. It's tough to get insurances for certain things being involved in being that your money is made from this industry. So instead of coming into it starry-eyed and grinning and acting like you're crazy, you should come in very serious, knowing that this is my livelihood. And the more I know about this animal that I'm dealing with, the better protected I'm gonna be. In case I can't sing no more, in case I can't write anymore, in case I can't play anymore. What about business administration? What about publishing? What about accounting? What about management? There is many, many lucrative entities in this industry.
The word there is show business. Black Focus continues right after this. And welcome back to Black Focus. I'm Jay Johnson, your host. Our special guest is my good friend who flew all the way here just for the show, Mr. Barry White.
Believe it.
Barry, the last record that you had called Change made some profound statements. You were going away from the love zone to talk to young people about a change. What was that change?
Now here it goes. This is the one that y'all all been waiting for, the technology aspect of this.
It wasn't just to young people, it was to everyone, and I don't think I left the concept of love. I think the mere fact that someone takes our time to remind you of something positive is concern and love for people. It's humanitarian now. Barry White has always been concerned about people, especially young people, but change was directed to all people. The reason the lyrics kind of bend a little bit towards getting education, don't forget it, because if you do, you will regret it. That's not just high school, junior high education. That is to the man that's 35 years old, the man that's 45 years old. You better know how to do something.
Especially with the job situation.
Especially with what's coming. Change is a warning of what's coming.
What's coming, Barry?
Technology. See, what we see today is just the taking off of it. It's still coming. Technology is going to replace human beings. Unless you know how to program a computer or how to fix one, you're going to be in trouble in that area. In our industry, the industry has changed. Studios going out of business every day in Hollywood because technology has taken it from the big studio to a little space. Something new is happening in the 80s, just for you, but you can't get lazy. All you do is just make up your mind that you're gonna do something. The key to life is your attitude. Make sure you're doing what you want to do. You know how many people go to college for 4 or 5 years and get out and never do or use what they went to college for? Wasting time. Your goals can unfold right before your eyes, but you got to have certain priorities in order. The key to life, another key to life is education. Don't forget it, because if you do, you will regret it. That's anyone that don't understand how to do something, how to earn a living, how to make some money. It's a warning. I have 7 children of my own. It was a warning to them. No one can escape what is getting ready to come upon us. We're not enough involved in the decisions that's made for this country. The people of this country really don't know what's going on. They're being told certain things, we're being told this. But when you really stop and take inventory and observe what is taking place, there's a movement going down in America. It's called moving people from one position to another. And it's not a fast movement, it's gonna take time. But one day we're gonna look around like 1986, 1987, 88. They're gonna say, well, where did all this go? Well, where did all of that go? Oh, the new computer's doing it now. Oh, the computers are doing it now. Well, what are you doing with the computers? Well, I don't know nothing about that. Our educational systems tell the young people the technology age is coming, but there's a lot of black schools, minority schools, Hispanic schools that never seen a computer. And that's one of the dangerous things, most dangerous things America can do, is to not arm the young people. We're going to have an illiterate country, man, if we're not careful. We're going to have a country of people that don't care, and that's what change is about.
Barry White continues without...
Or how to fix one. I don't think I left the concept of love. I think the mere fact that someone takes our time to remind you of something positive to all people. The reason the lyrics kind of bend a little bit towards getting the taking off of it. It's still coming. Technology is going to replace human beings. Unless you know how to program a computer or how to fix one, you're going to be in trouble in that area. In our industry, the industry has changed. Studios going out of business every day in Hollywood because technology has taken it from the big studio to a little space.
It's true.
Something new is happening in the 80s, just for you, but you can't get lazy. All you do is just make up your mind that you're gonna do something. The key to life is your attitude. Make sure you're doing what you want to do. You know how many people go to college for 4 or 5 years and get out and never do or use what they went to college for? Wasting time. Your goals can unfold right before your eyes, but you got to have certain priorities in order. The key to life, another key to life is education. Don't forget it, because if you do, you will regret it. That's anyone that don't understand how to do something, how to earn a living, how to make some money. It's a warning. I have 7 children of my own. It was a warning to them. No one can escape what is getting ready to come upon us. We're not enough involved in the decisions that's made for this country. The people of this country really don't know what's going on. They're being told certain things, we're being told this. When you really stop and take inventory and observe what is taking place, there's a movement going down in America. It's called moving people from one position to another. And it's not a fast movement, it's gonna take time. But one day we're gonna look around like 1986, 1987, 88. They're gonna say, well, where did all this go? Well, where did all of that go? Oh, the new computer's doing it now. Oh, the computers are doing it now. Well, what are you doing with the computers? Well, I don't know nothing about that. Our educational systems tell the young people the technology age is coming, but there's a lot of black schools, minority schools, Hispanic schools that never seen a computer. And that's one of the dangerous things, most dangerous things America can do, is to not arm the young people. We're going to have an illiterate country, man, if we're not careful. We're going to have a country of people that don't care, and that's what change is about.
Barry White continues with our discussion after this.
Let me see. Screen through this. Should I keep going? No, I think Barry made his point. Let me.
Yeah, he definitely made that point, man, and he saw it before it even happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he did. He did. And the funny thing about this, at the time when the interview was done, and people didn't know how old Barry White was at the time when he did that album, he was just turned 39 of that year. So this man already knew from what he has observed, because he puts it in his music. And that's one of the dangerous things about music today, is the environment and how people go for their experience is reflective of the music. And it tells you the environment dictates how we make our music, unfortunately. So when people talk about the music we see and consume now, it is a byproduct of what they're doing to this environment, which people are a part of.
Well, yeah. What he said was, if he still was alive now, and he saw just recently when a couple of them whistleblowers went up there, was talking about how the Facebook algorithm and a couple of these social media site algorithms was actually manufacturing the dysfunction that they complain and say they're trying to get rid of on the platforms, but yet the algorithm that they customize actually encourages it. And I think that's what Barry was tacitly envisioning this to happen, because he said now it's a thing about changing people's positions, right? So you get a social media thing now. You get a event that happens, and what they do now, you can look at it. They sway the opinion. They move the position. Whereas normally it would be something happen. Like, okay, that's wrong, and that shouldn't. It's wrong. But then you got these people who manufacturing opinions, right? And these people that manufacturing the opinions can be able to sway entire people. So people that's illiterate to what's going on, that's caught up in the mass seduction of what, the moving of the position would be, they usually get caught up in it, and they'll join in, or they'll be tacitly involved supporting something that actually destroys them. And then they'll be a willing participant in the destruction as a result. This man saw that in '83 before Facebook was even in. I don't even think Zuckerberg was born then.
Mark Zuckerberg was born in 1985.
Right. This was what, in '83?
Yes.
All right. It was 2 years before the man was even born. Barry White, who said he wasn't know nothing about no computers. He just saw the technology and what it was doing and the potential of it, and him speaking on it like, I mean, he's almost prophetic in this video, man. It's a great find, man. Great find.
Yeah, kind of like when people put up some old videos of old records of shows that was done by some of our greatest back then, we could still apply it to today and have a real overall reflections of how they think, how they behave, and how they make music back then. That everything is self-reflecting, even to the point if you look at I'm Very White. Now that I'm talking about this thing he did back in 1983, he was taken off this earth 20 years after that. Imagine that. The time he did this was the same year. I'm not sure what month it was when he did this. He died. Ain't that something?
Yeah, man. I think he definitely went before his time. I think he had a lot more to say. You know what I mean? And I think that's the key in a lot of these artists who, you know, we know that they had a little more to say and they got took out before their time. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I always say they still live. Like you said, if your music can't play for 10 years, if mother can't turn your shit on and 10 years later still jam to it, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I mean, what good was it? You can still play Isley Brothers. Hell, Ronald
Yeah.
Isley still making music right now. Hey, you
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? Hey, much love to my brother Ronald Isley. Um, you know, you got some of these brothers now. Let's just say, for example, my boy Boosie, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and I know he's more contemporary, and a lot of people, more younger people would know Boosie. But Boosie was putting out mixtapes when I was in college, right?
Oh.
When I was in college, you know, and you could not buy Boosie's mixtape. You had to get it from someone else, and like it was like what the man was saying about the bootleg and Boosie. You could only get a Boosie record by even getting it from somebody that had it on bootleg, and then you was able to get it, and then you was able to distribute it because he wasn't in the store.
Mm-hmm.
Now that was in what 90? What is it, like 2000, 2001? Now you look at Boosie now, still
Mm-hmm.
making music, right?
Yeah.
Still is big, you know. Boosie still big right now. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so you look at, you know, brother like Boosie as being a contemporary version of some of these brothers who can last the test of time, including, you know, brother Ron Isley
Mm-hmm.
and you know, a couple of other brothers, their name escaped me, but it's plenty. And even some of the brothers that's dead, you know what I'm saying? Marvin Gaye, Curtis Mayfield, you know, these different people, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I feel you. I feel you. And it's the funny thing because there's still longevity. These artists, that older artists, that they hang around for a good reason, and you know they do the best they can to be still somewhat relevant to the masses. So as you know, I dropped this particular link to the next video that's gonna be I would say more of the psychology of social media. Now that we have to talk about this because this leads to now in the present day we're in now. So let us share screen. Mhm. Okay. So now I'm gonna see if I can find it. I'm gonna run it. Yeah.
Stop. And why do viruses stop? Where on social media reported extreme anxiety compared to 18% of freshmen in 1985. So the number of freshmen who reported extreme anxiety tripled
Now I hope y'all guys can
in
hear
a
that.
period of time, and all of them were on social media, and it was the only component that
You got an
changed.
echo on that. It's a
Shit.
bad echo.
We can
Safely
safely
All right,
draw
this is what I'm gonna do.
techniques and methodologies
methodology
Huh.
from
from
epidemiology
epidemiology
and
and
regard social
regard social
Yeah, I think it's kind of
Just
playing.
just play it and then mute your mic and
No,
play it.
no, I am not gonna do that. I'm gonna do this instead. Let me go back. Let me stop sharing this. I know I didn't think it was gonna do that, but it did it. Uh, let me I have to go straight to my video.
Yeah, I like that thumbnail they had on there with all the pills and the social media. It's like it's a drug, right?
Yep. Kind of want no feedback when it's doing that garbage, you know. And I'm gonna have to download it. But as we download it, let's keep talking. Oh, and for those that's listening, I know most people are liking the video. Please, if y'all coming in, please like the video or share this. I would appreciate if y'all stayed and listened a little bit, but please like the video and share it. That's the second best thing you could do. Um,
Yeah, share that shit. Share it. Like.
yeah, yeah. Actually, you know what? Well, I can't mute it because if I mute it, it's not gonna be playing because this is
Oh,
straight.
just mute your
No,
mic.
let me see if that will work. I'm gonna do that now. I'm gonna mute it and try. If not, I'll do this. But let's try something.
Hit that like button, god damn it.
Has 1,000 likes, you failed.
Yeah, that's good. That's good right there.
Constantly competing against yourself, actually, not only against others and not only against the market, but against yourself. You have to exceed yourself all the time. This creates enormous performance anxiety. Actually, we discovered that 41% of freshmen who were on social media reported extreme anxiety compared to 18% of freshmen in 1985. So the number of freshmen who reported extreme anxiety tripled over this period of time, and all of them were on social media, and it was the only component that changed between the two dates. So social media did this. We can safely borrow techniques and methodologies from epidemiology and regard social media as an epidemic. As we study Ebola or similar things, we can study social media. If we do that, we discover some amazing new insights. And one of the most important new insights is what we call in epidemiology self-limitation. All viruses spread very fast and then stop. Why didn't the Black Death killed all the population of Europe? Why it stopped at half the population? Why didn't AIDS kill all of us? I mean, why epidemics stop? Because viruses stop. And why do viruses stop? Because they want to propagate. They want to continue to survive. If there were a virus who would have killed all the population, the virus would have died as well.
Right.
So we call this self-limiting.
Okay.
If social media are like viruses, and if we can use technologies from, then it means that we are coming right now to a stage of self-limiting.
Okay.
It means that the growth coefficient, the growth of social media will now stop. And we will then, the world will then be divided to two groups. The group of people who do not use social media and the group of people who use social media. And they are not geographical groups and they are not socioeconomic groups. And so we can't say, for example, the rich world will use social media, but not India and China. We cannot say rich people will use social media, but not poor people. We cannot say highly educated people will use social media. We can't say this because the profile of social media users, about 2 billion by now, is totally universal. I mean, there's nothing distinguishing, no distinguishing facet. The only thing that will distinguish these two groups, absolutely the only thing, is not gender, not income, not education, nothing. Only, are you using social media or not? This is a revolutionary thought because social media has a massive effect on psychology. In other words, there will be one group of people, about 2 billion, with one type of human psychology, and another group of people of about 5 billion with a totally different type of human psychology. And this is the first time, I think, that there is such a massive re-engineering of human psychology in between groups which count in the billions. So this is another way of looking at it. I would like to also. I'm going to talk a lot, and you can edit me out, of course.
Now, as y'all could tell, what do you understand, follow so far, Shadow?
Yeah, I'm seeing where he's going with it because it is a diversified group and set. I don't think we can either assign it to all rich or all poor people using it, or geographics or colors or socioeconomic status. I think what he said was 2 billion people are currently engaged on social media currently. So at 7 billion, we still got 5 billion people on the earth who don't actively participate in social media. However, I think what may be being missed here as well to add is that they are not affected by it, even though they don't. And I know people in America who staunchly do not use social media, and there are not old people, younger people who, for whatever reason, maybe it's the tracking, maybe it's the the constant toxicity, maybe it's the distraction of it all, things of that nature, who don't use it. But I feel like in business, it's a caveat of a price of doing business, right? You want to get into the marketplace, and the marketplace currently, they have made it to where social media plays a very high part in that.
Mm-hmm. One question, Shadow. Kamachi, you want to jump down and come back in? Like a scratch in the volume of the mic a little bit when you're talking a little bit, just a little bit. One thing with social media, and I'm not sure when Sam Vatman had this sit down interview personally. I think we're now at 8 billion population, but 2 billion at the time when we were roughly almost over 5 billion. That's almost half. And my math is right. It was 2.5 is half, but we're really approaching half. So now, back then when he did that, that was the number status. Look at social media now in the present day.
What year was that when he was talking about that?
I have no idea. Be honest with you. I could Google it. Maybe YouTube.
What I was saying is, okay, like you're saying, okay, at half, it doesn't take 50% to start a movement, right? What
No,
is
I
it,
think
about
so.
15?
It start moving today. If you can get roughly 5-10%, it's good enough.
Right. So,
Yeah.
just going back to what Barry was saying, in the manufacturing of consent, that's what media has become. And now social media, the big heads at social media have started to, manufacture consent as well. And you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the manufacturing of consent. It only really takes three main things,
Mm-hmm.
to get a person to vote against their best interest, or to get a person to support something against their best interest. Well, what do? You push emotional buttons. For black people, I know for sure, they push emotional, they push race, you know what I'm saying, interpersonal relationship. They push that on us and say, hey, the quickest thing, that they can do to manufacture the consent is make a boogeyman. It's the next one, right? This is the boogeyman. You gotta hate him because X. You know what I mean? And then they manufacture the boogeyman syndrome on you. And before you know it, you didn't even know. The devil that you know was trying to help you out, right? The devil
Mm-hmm.
that you did know was actually using everything that you take hold dear and using it against you as a guilt trip to make you not support your own interest. And what Barry was saying is like, move in positions. He can move a position. You know what I'm saying? Whereas it would be good that you actually supported this particular policy, but we can move your position by saying, hey, that policy is emotionally driven to you, or hey, this policy is racism, or this policy. And then immediately before you even read it, similar to the contracts that some of these cats be signing, before you even read what it actually is saying, where it might have had some benefit to you, you immediately decry it. I use the example of Mr. Cube, man, Ice Cube, when he went up there to Fox Soul or whatever, and how those women was like just going after him because he was trying to create a black business plan to go at and send it to Trump. And he sent one to Biden administration as well. I think Trump then was actually accepted and responded back. So they jumped on Cube's back like, oh, man, you rolling with Trump. He's like, well, hold on now. I'm trying to bring money to the black community and, you know, black men. And they was basically like, hold on now. Black women and black men, hold on now. You know, they was like, we, you know, where's the black women? He said, well, it's black, the black people, y'all black too, right? And they was like, nah, we black women. Like, I was like, whoa. Like, hold up now. The man came up with a plan. Which one of y'all at Fox Soul and came up with a damn plan to send it to Biden or damn Trump? I'll wait. I guess that means none. Have you seen Vivica A. Fox come up with a plan for black people? Yo, Chaos, you still there, bro?
Oh, sorry. I didn't know I was muted. Then watch the bros. Then watch the bro. Go ahead.
Did you see that? I know you saw that, right?
Yeah, repeat that because I was speaking in the. Go ahead. Repeat
No,
yourself.
what I was saying is I know that you saw that when Q was saying I was bringing the plan for black people.
Yeah. Everybody saw it. I actually, to be honest with you, I did content on that back in 2020, the same time when this stream I did at that time. And them ladies said that they want something separate from black men personally. And I'm picking saying, you know, you cannot unify or build anything when you're separate. You dumb fucking bitches. Do you see white women say that they're separate to white men? Do you see Asian men separate? What? Go ahead.
I said sometimes when I hear that kind of stuff, I'm like, is this show business or they towing the company line or do they actually believe this? Because I think the latter is the more dangerous, where they're volunteers of their own destruction. They're not even being necessarily paid more to do it. Now they're being able to do it themselves. Look at the show that imploded itself, basically. What was it? The Cackling Hens over there with Lonnie Love and
yeah, that show done, man. I was glad, to be honest with you, bro.
Right. And then you look at the other one, you know what I'm saying, where they constantly drag brothers, which was Wendy Williams' show. Look at how it destroyed them. See, that stuff never lasts. You know, only person that can last on that is Oprah. See, because Oprah is old guard and she got overarching protection from all kind of ways. You know, she can get away with everything. But these younger voices, you know, once the people stop watching it, just look at they got so much money, Chaos, that just look at the failure of CNN Plus. Let's just go to recently. Okay. CNN, ever since Trump been out of office, CNN then lost almost 85% of their viewers, almost 90% of their viewers.
Good, because they're not relevant.
And it's free. It's free. So, okay, they say, well, let's go ahead and spend 300 some million, almost $1 billion some dollars on doing a CNN Plus, trying to get like Paramount Plus or Disney Plus, and we're gonna make a pay service where you can listen to Brian Stelter and Van Jones. God, the C and the D team of CNN. You gonna pay to listen to Van Jones cry? I'd never pay for it.
No, I would never do it. I never advocate people doing that shit. Absolutely not. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit, bro. Anyway, let's keep going, man.
I wouldn't dare.
If I were you, I would do the whole thing. Just lost 1,000 quid. So one thing I would like to, I think one thing that's neglected when we consider social media is by whom social media was created. Consider, for example, the fashion industry. The fashion industry was created by homosexual men. Homosexual men who had a liking to boys. They created an ideal female figure, which was boy-like, which was, and to this very day, this is the ideal female figure. Females, women all over the world make the mistake. It's utter mistake. We have numerous studies that show that it's a mistake. It's wrong. It's not true. Women think that men like thin, anorectic, slim women, because that's what the fashion magazines are telling them. But the fashion magazines are telling them that because most of the founders of the fashion houses and fashion magazines were homosexual men.
And they're only interested in how they make the clothes look. They want clothes horses, that's it.
They want, yeah, but the ideal female form is actually male, young male, teenage male.
So they're like androgenized women.
Right. And women adopted this, and they believe this is what men want. But actually, we have numerous studies that show that men prefer fuller women, curvaceous women, women with love handles, and so on. And women refuse to accept this study. They say it's not true. Men like. Why am I telling you this? Because social media was created by a very well-defined profile. It was all social media were invented by men. There was not a single woman involved. All social media were invented by schizoids, people who recluses, people hermits, people who were socially inept. All social media were invented by nerds. Most of these men, later on, when we read biographies and so on, we realized that they were asexual or with very low sexual activity. So the profile of the men who invented social media, and we're talking about all these men, is very, very, very narrowly defined. They created social media in their own image, of course. Since they were asexual, asocial, schizoid, white men, they created a tool which was geared towards asexual, asocial, schizoid, white men. And then what happened to this tool, to their utter surprise, for example, you can read Zuckerberg's articles and so on, to their utter shock, it took off and it started to cater to black men and black women and very sexual people and asexual people and social people. It started to cater to population groups which were totally out of sync with the nature and character of the technology. And I think we are witnessing this conflict. The technology is designed for a highly specific psychological profile, and yet it is being used, abused, and misused by other psychological profiles, and this creates dissonance. The technology has inbuilt dissonance, and I think we are feeling this dissonance a lot. We know that exposure to social media, and more precisely, exposure to screen time, but not all screen time, but exposure to screen time and social media, we know that it tends to encourage depression, anxiety, suicide, and so on. Some numbers. Anxiety among teens increased by 20% since 2007. 17% of all teens with anxiety are today with severe anxiety, life-threatening anxiety. 17% compared to 3% about 10 years ago. We know that screen time decreases happiness, decreases life satisfaction. Everything I'm mentioning has a study attached to it, or studies attached to it. So it decreases happiness, life satisfaction, and decreases self-esteem. We know that. We know that it enhances anxiety and depression. The Royal Society of Public Health published a study in June this year, June 2018, which found out that 63% of all Instagram users are unhappy. Now, we don't know whether unhappy people gravitate to Instagram or whether Instagram made them unhappy. But since we have similar statistics for other social media, it would stand to reason that it's the platform that made them unhappy, not the other way.
So that study he brought out, that's 15 years ago. And he's saying one platform, that's more than half that's unhappy using the platform, or to make them depressed. You catch that? Other social media like Instagram.
Yeah, I saw that, and I seen where he was going with the ratio. He was like, well, is it those people were already pre acclimated to being depressed and anxious and suicidal before, or did the Instagram cause it? And then the after that, you see the they keep constantly doing it. You got the, what do they call it? When a person jumps off a bridge, the police got to go over there and stay on the bridge for like days and days after that person jumped off the bridge. You know why? Because they got people who just saw that, and now they wasn't thinking about jumping off the bridge, but now they seen someone else do it, and now they go and do it
Mm-hmm.
because it's like a copycat thing. You put that on social media times a million, and times 2.5 billion. Let me get that right. And now you start to see, and then the algorithm being catered to dysfunction, even as we sit here now. If you change this video right now, I don't know how many people are watching. If you change this video right now and we start talking about some drama, or motherfuckers get to arguing, me and you get to arguing about some shit, or motherfucker come up here trying to trip out or something, you watch how the numbers raise up. I mean, instantly. I'm talking about, within 30 to 60 seconds, you'll see your numbers will just go up all of a sudden. Why? Why is that?
I'll tell you why that is, because they design algorithms to push negativity, degeneracy, and form of what we call misery. In all forms of unhappiness, the algorithm is designed to tap into your deeper unresolved ambitions.
So technically, in that form, of that could possibly be a disease that they intentionally created
Exactly.
algorithmically like that.
Yep, they created a disease. Yes, that was the whole end game.
Wow, I never thought about it like that, but yeah, a social disease. Wow,
Yes,
that
yeah, very
spreads like
social.
a virus.
Yep. Oh, my thing is ready now. Good. I can stop sharing my YouTube version of this. How many minutes? I have limits. So let me stop sharing this. Remove. And now, hold on. Let me do this. Oh, damn it. What the hell I'm doing? All right. Hold on, guys. I'm going to do something. I'm going to move this here. All right. So I'm going to share it this way now. Let me just expand this. There we go. All right. I'm going to stop screen sharing this. And I'm going to really share the actual video here. Yes.
We have similar statistics for other social media. It would stand to reason that it's the platform that made them unhappy, not the other way. We know that anxiety and depression among the young, between 15 and 24, increased by 70% over the last 30 years.
That's a huge.
It's double, simply double. And we know that since 2010, teen suicide climbed by 31%. So teen suicide is rampant. And today, it is the first time in human history that the leading cause of death among teens up to the age of 24 is suicide. Not any disease or not even accidents. It used to be accident. Today, it's suicide. That's the leading cause of death. And this is intimately connected to social media. So it raises the question, why is that? Well, I mentioned before that social media is a conditioning tool, not an addictive tool, but a conditioning tool, and that it uses relative positioning. But what are the emotions that are attached to relative positioning? Well, the first one is envy, of course. So social media are constructed around envy, pathological envy. They are purveyors of pathological envy and amplifiers of pathological envy. And they quantify via various ranking algorithms, they quantify envy with likes, with retweets. So they quantify envy, and then they leverage envy to motivate you. In other words, they use envy to cause you to adopt some course of action. So they weaponize envy. But not only envy, but I think even more so aggression. Of course, pathological envy is a form of aggression. People confuse jealousy with envy. And here's the difference. Jealousy is when I look at you and I say, I want to be Richard Grennan. So I will study hard, I will buy the right glasses, and so on. I will develop muscles. So it will motivate me to positive action. Jealousy is constructive. It motivates me to act, but in a positive way, to emulate you. Pathological envy means that I regard you as a source of frustration, that I can't be like you. So I would seek to destroy you, or to make you me. For instance, by forcing you to wear white shirts, which you will never do. So pathological envy is a form of aggression. And when we look at social media, we see that all social media encourage aggression via their algorithms and via the way they foster interactions. So they encourage, for example, peer aggression. People confuse jealousy with envy. And here's the difference. Jealousy is when I look at you and I say, I want to be Richard Grennan. So I will study hard, I will buy the right glasses, and so on. I will develop muscles. So it will motivate me to positive action. Jealousy is constructive. It motivates me to act, but in a positive way, to emulate you. Pathological envy means that I regard you as a source of frustration, that I can't be like you. So I would seek to destroy you, or to make you me. For instance, by forcing you to wear white shirts, which you will never do. So pathological envy is a form of aggression. And when we look at social media, we see that all social media encourage aggression via their algorithms and via the way they foster interactions. So they encourage, for example, peer aggression. Not only envy, but I think glasses. See that all social media encourage aggression via their algorithms and via the way they foster interactions. So they encourage, for example, peer aggression. See that all social media encourage aggression via their algorithms and via the way they foster interactions. So they encourage, for example, peer aggression. See that all social media encourage aggression via their algorithms and via the way they foster interactions. So they encourage, for example, peer aggression. See that all social media encourage aggression via their algorithms and via the way they foster interactions. So they encourage, for example, peer aggression.
Did you follow that? Make sure you guys like the stream. Shadow, you there?
Yeah, when he said they encourage peer aggression, that's it. Like I never heard this before. I just went over and hit like on that video on your shit too. I'm gonna go back and listen to the whole thing into attack because I know it's long. But what I was just saying and what Barry was saying, we was having this conversation, exactly what the algorithm in my looking at it, that's exactly what it does. It causes peer aggression. So normally, whereas peers is it's neutral, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Right. So a peer, your peer could be anybody that's in your space, right? That's, classmates, bandmates, you know what I'm saying, family members. It could be, around your same age or otherwise, within a certain time. Those are your peers, people you deal with day to day that you respect their opinion and you listen to them, and vice versa, or it could be just the people that's around you. And the pure aggression, what he was saying with the pure aggression, it actually generates pure aggression. That's what I'm saying about just like the Facebook. When they first created the Facebook Lives, when they started doing that, just look at that as an example.
That was like 6 years ago.
When they first did it, they had to redo the way that they did it because they was live streaming so many killings. But I would
Whoa.
say, right, you remember how in Chicago, there's some outside of Chicago, but there were a lot of them that were in Chicago where the peers or the ops, as the youngsters would call them, ops now, they're not peers, they're ops, right? Anybody
Yeah.
that disagrees with me or that stays on the other side of the street or whatever, I don't like them. They're ops. They're not peers, people that we can possibly work with. They must be killed, you know. So you get the peers, Facebook being so messy in what they do, they know who your ops are. So when that live video goes live, you know what I'm saying? Within 5 minutes, they done shot that notification to your ops, telling them exactly where you at. Up and to the point where you sit there talking, ops pull up and kill you live, phone still streaming as you shot on the ground. And I'm saying to myself, man, saying, would that have happened? Now, hey, who knows? He might have got into it with the ops, they might have killed him, whatever. But would it have happened if the notification was not sent directly to the damn ops at that time? You see what I'm saying? Like, how did that notification get? They and they know who the ops is. They know who got. They got all the info, the metadata. That's why they call themselves meta, because that's what it should be. They got all the damn metadata. You know what I'm saying? Which is the data that the OGA. I ain't gonna say no names on your stream, but OGA, you know what I'm saying, was saying that we don't collect all data on people's cell phones and this and that. We just collect the metadata. So that's just a generalization. And then if we're looking for somebody, then we'll just, we'll get a warrant for the rest of it. I forgot what they call it. It's a certain type of warrant. FISA, I think it's a FISA warrant. Okay. And if you if they say that you know a terrorist, if they put that terrorist word on you, then they can do whatever they want to do to you, right? They can take your rights, and then they, they can put you in a torture rack, and you can't do shit. And you look at the fact of just that alone, you know what I mean, with the FISA and the metadata, where they don't even need a warrant. They can just, the metadata could be the number that you called. How long did you talk to this person? Where is that person located? What's their name? What's your name? What the text message was sent. Okay, they might not be looking at the actual contents, but they're looking at the paragraph, and they got an AI that's reading it. You know what I'm saying? That's how they usually determine. I use the movie Eagle Eye as a visual way of how the government would do it. Where they have an AI, you know what I'm saying? They made it look good in Eagle Eye, but it's just basically a server, right? And it's built with the AI architecture underneath it, where it's basically set to whatever you want to set. You can set it to keywords. You can set it to interstate commerce. You can set it to drugs. You can set it to prostitution. You can set it to anything, and then it'll just flag it. And it's an AI, but there's a person in the loop. Same thing with YouTube. When a certain video is played and it gets claimed or it gets hit, the algorithm does it first. Okay, and then it goes to a human person, okay, to review it eventually. Now they might have a queue of 1,000 videos that they got to go in there, and then they themselves curate your message. And if it's not what the Ministry of Truth says, or OGA pays the Ministry of Truth to say is approved, and you get what? A strike. That's the first thing they give you. They give you a strike, and then they silence you. All right, and then after the strike, what's the next? Well, we're gonna take you off the internet for a certain amount of months, and then after that, or what after that? What's the next thing? Okay, completely cancel you.
Yeah.
So that's their new strategy now with opinions that do not agree with the construction of the opinion. They make opinions now, and that's what destroyed news. CNN actually used to be a decent place to go to get some fair and balanced propaganda, because it's all propaganda, right?
Fair, bro. It's still propaganda.
Look, the only thing you can halfway trust, bro, is local news, and even with them, the only thing you can trust is when a person got shot, because we know they got shot. We don't know why they got shot, but we know they got shot, and then we know, if he says it's gonna rain tomorrow, it might rain. Because sometimes you can't even trust them motherfuckers, right?
Mhm.
The weather and the crime about the only thing that you can trust that might not have a spin on it. You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
even now, they starting to find ways to spin the weather, call it climate change. Oh yeah, it rained 2 extra days. That's because your gas that you put in your car that we ain't giving you nothing else to replace it. It's your fault. Climate
Mhm.
change, your fault. Pay more money for your electric bill. Pay more money for your gas. Pay more money for the cars. More money is the solution. Pay more money.
Mhm.
And that's why I told people when Al Gore came out with the inconvenient truth, I actually thought that he, as a Democrat at the time, I'm thinking, you know what I'm saying? He got something going. And then as I looked at it and started to see that he was on the carbon tax board where him and his subsidiaries will receive a lot of these taxes, they was even getting to the point where with your registration, they're going to track your car. If you drove over a certain amount of thousands of miles, it's not only that you have to pay for your registration and your tags and shit. When you go and get your shit inspected, they was going to charge you a certain amount of money per mile. And don't think that they ain't getting ready to do
Right.
that. That's next. That new Green Deal shit. If you ain't got that electric car, they gonna start putting that shit in your register. Oh, you drove a certain amount of time, well, you use gas in your car. Not only that, you paid all the taxes and it's $5 a gallon, but we still gonna charge you, 25 cents a mile for driving in our air. Pay us. How
Wait,
is
so
that going?
you tell me they want people to go buy a fucking 80 to 100 grand electric car?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's what
Ain't
they do.
nobody buying it. Listen, if they really want people to stop using gasoline cars, you raise the price on gas. That's the end of the story.
Well, I
See,
mean,
the problem
that's what
is,
they're doing.
but you gotta understand, if gas is almost last time I checked, besides certain states or certain states you're at, if they put bills to suppress it, that gas, like many a fuel commodity, is supposed to be slowly out going to be out the door. And the reason why is because they're trying to move into more control devices. Now, one of those control devices, artificial intelligence type, like self-automate vehicles, computerized vehicles that runs only on batteries and electronics. Because with that, you can easily track anything, including hear your conversations and all that stuff through a certain computerized car, which they could probably still do anyway. But these vehicles now they're designed is more controllable. You know what I'm saying? If you remember the movie Fast and Furious 9, you see how they're able to by push a switch control
I
vehicle.
remember that. I remember the movie.
So anything happen, they can control your vehicle and make you get into accident out of your control if you let these things run automatic or out of your control. If you're not careful, someone can hack in your vehicle and let you go off and
Right.
then
I
potentially.
mean, you want to be. Think about it. All right. You grew up. I grew up. We grew up driving. Right. Grew up driving. You put gas in the car. We're going to eventually be derelicts. Okay. When they get the new generations, once they manufacture enough consent, okay, they're going. If you don't drive an electric car, now you're going to be shunned.
Mhm.
Right? And then they're gonna raise that tax. I'm telling you, they're gonna tax your ass until you get there. That's what they want. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I make the argument that the people who are the most vocal about these type of things, who got so much money involved in these type of things, they have yachts that run on fuel oil that's used for ocean maritime ocean ships is very dirty. Some of it is very dirty, and it's hundreds of thousands of gallons of fuel that they're using just to move their yacht around their private jets. But then they can get up there and grandstand and say, we need to stop. But per capita, hell, you using in your private jet, in 2 or 3 months of usage, the average person just riding a commercial airliner is not using that much fucking shit per capita. So what makes sense to me, the first thing you're gonna say, if I'm gonna get an electric car, everything you got should be electric, motherfucker. Don't be trying to lecture me, person. I'm paying the high gas price just trying to go to work to make it in the system. You don't tell me what the hell I need to be doing with my damn money. You got the billions. Why don't you create the shit where it's cheap enough where we can all use it? But what people don't understand, even with electric cars, where does the power come from? It's not renewables, most of it. It's coming from oil and natural gas. So you still, what do they make the road? They don't make the roads out of electricity. They make the roads out of asphalt, which is a derivative of petroleum. So even if you went all the way to electric cars, you still gonna need hell of a petroleum. More cars, what? You need more roads, which is based on petroleum. You'll never get rid of petroleum in this economy 100%. It's impossible. It's impossible. With our industrial society, just the trucks, man, the diesel. Until they replace diesel trucks, I don't want to hear nobody telling me about no time and change and all that shit. Now Tesla do got the damn cyber truck coming out, and I hear a lot of truckers that they don't really want to get down with it because of the AI situation. But I mean, hey, if you could buy a cyber truck, but I think they only go like 350, 400 some miles, that's a problem for cross country truckers. You know what I'm saying? But I imagine as the battery technology increases, that will get better. You know what I'm saying? Especially with that diamond nuclear battery that they just came out with. I'm actually gonna have to see if I can't look at that patent and see what they got. Maybe I can get a prototype of that. I know it's gonna be highly restrictive because of Homeland Security and the the radiation and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
I would like to get my hands on some of that, and at very least, get my hands on some of these. And I think the public should get more into it. I'm not just a gas proponent or whatever like that. I'm like this: lithium ion batteries. You can make. I just saw from lithium ion batteries. I'm gonna make a prototype with that, like a Tesla battery wall, where you can have over 3,000 watt hours on a 48-volt pack using the same batteries that you use in a in a cigarette vape machine, and you can basically have 3,000 watt hours on one pack, and it's under $1,000. So you put some solar on to that. Okay, lights go out in your area. Where's it practical? What do we need to use it for? Well, lights go out, or let's say power of price go up. You can switch over to your battery pack and run, 75 to 80% of your entire house off of that. That is practical. That makes sense. You think for 1 minute that a lot of these super duper billionaires who cry about climate change, and you think that they have renewable setups on their land. No, their light bills are extraneous, man. 10,000 square foot mansions. Shit. You know what I mean? They continuously lecture us about we need to pay more as we per capita pay more of our salary for said good. Yet they sit in the ivory palace and able to say this while they jump on their jet and finna get ready and blow 10,000 gallons of gas into the damn shit. Just going to Vegas for the weekend. I don't want to hear this shit anymore. Me, I say keep your gas cars. There should not be no law to hurt people who use gas vehicles. And if people want to get electric vehicles, okay, you want to subsidize it. Well, give people a discount on buying it. Is my opinion, and let everybody else still keep their cars. And hey, you're still decreasing the amount of gas cars that's on the road, but let the people who still got them keep their shit. I'm libertarian in that aspect.
Oh, 1 second. I'm trying to do something. Okay. All right, let's continue. And actually, I'm simulcasting here on what they call the clubhouse. But let's keep going.
They encourage bullying, they encourage mobbing, gang stalking, they encourage black humor, they encourage brutal honesty, and so on and so forth. You could say, what do you mean encourage? It's an empty space. I mean, you can put, in this empty space, you can put brutal honesty, or you can put compassion. It's not like they are forcing you, it's your choice how to abuse this empty blank space. Well, of course it's not true. It's not true because these platforms have been designed to condition, or as the founders and constructors of this platform now are attesting, they were conditioned to become addictive. But it's wrong, it's not addiction, never mind. We know what they're trying to say. These platforms encourage repeat use, repeat compulsive use. And now we know from psychology that only these kind of emotions, aggression, envy, hatred, only these kind of emotions encourage repeated use. So there is no way that they have designed these platforms without being aware that they must leverage these emotions to create addiction.
You're saying that in order to guarantee that there will be eyeballs on the screen for longer and more eyeballs on the screen, they've deliberately fostered negative emotions in that space.
Yes.
Anger.
There was no other way.
Envy.
Yes.
Resentment.
Yes. And they cannot come out and say you're wrong. We similarly encourage.
Now, before I continue, do you remember there was one female that worked for Facebook and was, I guess, blowing the whistle on them last year?
Yeah, the alleged whistleblower.
Now, mind you, I appreciate what she did, but here's the problem. Sweetie, you are a decade too late for that. This man did this sit down because he's in the therapist. He's a narcissist expert because he's in the field of psychology for decades. He knew this over, I would say 15, maybe 10 years ago, over 10 years ago.
Well, what's this guy's name? Is he he's a psychologist by trade?
Yeah, he's a narcissist. He studies narcissism and stuff. He's Sam Vakman, Caucasian man. I think he's from Europe or from Canada. I don't know. But let's keep going.
Love.
Gotcha.
Because all psychological studies show that love does not motivate, does not create or motivate repeat usage, repeat action, does not foster addiction. No. We have forms of love which are addictive, but then we're talking stalking, erotomaniac stalking, infatuation. Yes. These are pathological states. So pathologies. These platforms were designed with pathology in mind. It's not what I am saying. Some of the founders of Facebook and the main engineer of Facebook in the first few years have now gone public and admitted that they have built addiction into the platform. And how do you do that? The only way to build addiction into the platform is to foster, engender, and enhance exactly these emotions. Right. There is no other way. Yes. You can't encourage voluntarism or love and expect repeat usage. Simply, there's no studies that support this. So, use and repeat. So, there is no way that they have designed these platforms without being aware that they must leverage these emotions to create addiction.
You're saying that in order to guarantee the eyeballs on the screen for longer and more eyeballs on the screen, they've deliberately fostered negative emotions in that space.
Yes.
Anger.
There was no other way.
Envy.
Yes.
Resentment.
Yes. And they cannot come out and say you're wrong. We similarly encourage love because all psychological studies show that love does not motivate, does not create or motivate repeat usage, repeat action, does not foster addiction. No. We have forms of love which are addictive, but then we're talking stalking, erotomaniac stalking, infatuation. Yes. These are pathological states. So pathologies. These platforms were designed with pathology in mind. It's not what I am saying. Some of the founders of Facebook and the main engineer of Facebook in the first few years have now gone public and admitted that they have built addiction into the platform. And how do you do that? The only way to build addiction into the platform is to foster, engender, and enhance exactly these emotions.
Right.
There is no other way.
Yes.
You can't encourage voluntarism or love and expect repeat usage. Simply, there's no studies that support this. So it's no wonder that these platforms ended up being platforms for hate speech, for fake news, for bullying, cyberbullying, for no wonder at all. They were built for this.
Yes.
They were absolutely built for this. Consider, for example, Twitter. Twitter limited the number of characters until recently to 140, now they increased it to 160. But never mind, 140. What we know is that aggressive speech acts are much shorter. I'm serious completely. There are psychological studies.
Wow.
Repeat
Repeat that.
aggressive use. And now we know from psychology that only these kind of emotions, aggression, envy, hatred, only these kind of emotions encourage repeated use. So there is no way that they have designed these platforms without being aware that they must leverage these emotions to create addiction.
You're saying that in order to guarantee that there would be eyeballs on the screen for longer and more eyeballs on the screen, they've deliberately fostered negative emotions in that space.
Yes.
Anger,
There was no other way.
envy,
Yes.
resentment.
Yes, and they cannot come out and say you're wrong. We similarly encourage love because all psychological studies show that love does not motivate, it does not create or motivate repeat usage, repeat action, does not foster addiction.
No.
We have forms of love which are addictive, but then we're talking stalking, erotomaniac stalking, infatuation.
Yes.
These are pathological states. So pathologies. These platforms were designed with pathology in mind. It's not what I'm saying. Some of the founders of Facebook and the main engineer of Facebook in the first few years
Yes.
have now gone public and admitted that they have built addiction into the platform. And now how do you do that? The only way to build addiction into the platform is to foster, engender, and enhance exactly these emotions.
Right.
There is no other way.
Yes.
You can't encourage voluntarism or love and expect repeat usage. Simply, there's no studies that support this. So it's no wonder that these platforms ended up being platforms for hate speech, for fake news, for bullying, cyberbullying, for no wonder at all. They were built for this.
Yes.
They were absolutely built for this. Consider, for example, Twitter. Twitter limited the number of...
Did you get that? Did anybody get that? Now, mind you,
What's
Yeah.
up? I kind of drifted off right there. I was looking at some damn Amazon stuff. What'd you say?
did you get that? That the platform itself, it does promote certain things, but really is a business promote things that makes money. And what sells
Well,
money?
yeah. I heard that part. I was hearing before I checked this damn order. Just got some orders. I'm looking at it and I'm hearing him saying that at the same time. What keyed on to me is what he was talking about, the love, and how the love didn't give the analytics that they was looking for, and he did that in psychology and not just on YouTube, right? And you know, the social medias and the Instagrams and the Facebooks and the TikToks and all this other shit. See, the love was way less profitable, and I've heard that what they had a term for it on Facebook. I forgot. It was like hate, and how a lot of these certain people that's got websites that they standing them up now off of the hate. It was when they put out inflammatory stories, not really owning up to the journalism that they're trying to be, where it's supposed to be balanced and unbiased and objective. You know what I'm saying? To, you know, if for us, like, you know, we're gonna be neutral here, and then let the story. We're gonna get both sides of the story. We're not going to come to a conclusion for you. We're going to tell you both sides of the story. We're going to tell you the right and the wrongs on either end could possibly be ambiguous. And at the end of that, okay, you as the viewer will make your choice. What you felt like was right, or choose to make no choice and remain neutral. That was always a choice. There's always three choices, right? You know, A, B, C. You know what I'm saying? So now, what they were showing was on Facebook the non-journal fake news spreaders that was on there, who they was just like, it was like it's almost like porn, you know, and the addictiveness of it all, where it was like the porn of the train wreck. You know it's gonna happen, right? People want to see, you know, tune in, and instead of having to wait till, you know, next Friday to see what happened on the, you know, the show or whatever, how they used to have it back in the days where you had, you know, cable, and you know, you watched these shows, it came on a certain time and day, you know, you had to either record it or whatever. You wasn't no TiVo and all that. Well, now, just fast forward it to now. Now you don't have to wait to see the train wreck on Friday, right? You can watch the train wreck on the internet, and here's how you look at it. This is the person. Watch how, as we destroy them, watch how they train wreck, and watch how we feedback the destruction, and we're broadcasting it live every second now. Anything that person does, if they come outside and smoke a cigarette, oh, they're gonna have cancer. They're supporting the cigarette people. You know, anything. You know, they're gonna have. You know, you are gonna be under constant watch, and they're gonna be like, the people that hate you gonna come. You know, that hate, man. They making all kind of analytic money off that. If they put out an objective story or some love piece where basically saying, you know, a good story for a chance, not a ambulance chasing, you know, a coroner van, CSI van chasing story. You know what I'm saying? When it comes down to black men, because that's what we get, you know, the most play, right? When, you know, God forbid a brother loses his life at the hands of a police officer. If it's white, it's better. And then we have certain people in our community that'll go get all these donations, and then where are they at? And then they can form a consensus to make people support them online when they know that that's bullshit. If you was to receive money for said, you know, charity or whatever, you say you was going to try to help the main persons being affected, where is your lobby to get brothers out of jail for bullshit weed cases and shit? Where's the lobby? You know, the First Step Act should have been made by BLM. Donald Trump should have never had a chance to give the First Step Act and bring brothers home for nonviolent criminal. He should have never been able to make that bill. We should have Benjamin Crump them and Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, if they was real leaders, they would have, and BLM, they would have got together with them. We got lawyers, we got people in the Senate and people in the damn House. We could get something drafted and create enough. We create enough problems. We can do riots. We can do all that. Create enough swell to make them sign a damn bill. It can be done. You know what I'm saying? But no, we gonna buy the communist compound in Canada, the infamous communist compound with the money. We're gonna go buy another $6 million house. We're gonna go buy this other house on the beach. We're gonna go buy this other house, and then as an MPO, right, you can't make no money. So they'll spend exactly the amount of money EMA so that they can offset their expenditure so that the nonprofit organization don't make no money. But what is they doing is they taking that and putting it into the community, buying personal housing, and then they got the gall to get up there. And that's why I understand. They go on Dr. Umar and say all that bad shit about him. What about these BLM leaders, man? You know what I'm saying? What about them? You know, if you're going to talk about Umar, let's talk about them. Man, these people is buying how that woman got up on there and say, I did this because my family, your family ain't being killed by the police. It wasn't your family that was giving you the money to go do these causes and all that. There was everybody. Now you look at them people who done came out. Even Michael Brown family came out and said, man, they ain't even gave us no money at all to help out. You know what I'm saying? And look how they stood and stampeded on his grave to act like they was down with us. You feel me, bro?
Yeah.
Consensus of opinion. Now we got people supporting them, and we can't even get 20 viewers when we talking about some brothers that's been telling us about some technology before them they was even on a phone or Windows. They're white. You know, rest his soul.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. You're right. And this funny thing, I always imagine that when you start talking about the technology, it was going to get far left personally. Because one thing I've noticed and learned that what Barry White has said, to reel it back in again, that when people are not prepared to what's already here, not what's coming, what's already here, and it's pretty evident because when I do streams personally on technology, on animation, or anything of that nature, and you would not know, Shad, because when we came across as friends, it's been like maybe a year. But when I was doing this, I had guests that talk about technology, from Keep It Techie to Mr. Dick. I forgot who else was it. And when I look back in those replays of some of those streams,
Yeah,
it
I
doesn't.
sub to Keep It Techie. Yeah. I'm sub to him, man. Yeah, he know his shit.
If I look back at the amount of when that was done, it stayed and stagnant to not even give me, not even 50 or 100 people watched that video. And I'm thinking now, even with this one now, this one I'll be surprised if I get 100 watching this, like the views watching this. The This is something that most people don't want to listen to or hear. Personally,
Well, yeah, anything with tech, man, and I think that's what Barry was trying to say. Barry, I want to translate one of them lines he said. He was saying that the people who know how to program and fix them, that's where we need to be getting on with and put it in the schools. He's saying the same thing we saying now. STEM, you know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
Coding. We need to learn. Black boys do need to learn code. Black girls need to learn coding. Black men and black women need to learn coding. Everyone needs to learn coding because that is where it's going. That's
Yeah,
not wrong. You know what I mean? I
mm-hmm.
heard the meme on there. They was getting mad at people. They had told the oil workers and the coal workers after they shut down their coal mine. The people on Twitter and MSNBC and CNN, they said, "Well, go learn the code." You know, as a joke to these old people, who've been working coal mine their whole life. Yeah, well, don't cry about we killing your job. Just learn to code. And it was a joke until other people started getting fired from their jobs, and then the other side of the political spectrum told them to learn the code, and then that now was dedicated as hate speech now. So
To
they,
tell somebody to learn the code. Well,
uh,
actually, if you think, just tell somebody to learn the code, right?
right now they was hitting what's the conservatives start saying the same language when certain Democrat people liberal establishments was getting destroyed, or they was losing all their workers due to whatever policy. They would use that same meme on Twitter or other platforms, learn to code and would meme it, and then those account holders were being either mopped off of Twitter, suspended, or struck out. You know what I'm saying? To oblivion with the shadow banning, that that you couldn't say nothing about it because it's not. They don't want. I know for a fact young brothers to learn how to code. That is what they don't want. STEM. They don't want young black people in STEM. It's not because we're dumb. It's because we are in intuitive and ingenuity, because we have to do a lot of times work with stuff and work with what I'm saying, things that we got around us. We don't have millions of dollars. So as we become engineer, we learn how to do great things with less material.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Just on the idea, because we didn't start off with a lot. So, we learn how to make our jobs easier. What could I do to make this thing work better? Or, whatever. If you converted that know-how into coding for young black men and women, and impress it onto them in schools. You know what I'm saying? Like Barry White was saying, we need to put the shit in the school, which now it has been put in there most of the time. But you know, we all know a lot of times what our young brothers and sisters are steered to, as far as what they like and they want. You know, we sports related. You know what I'm saying? We get a lot of support on the sports side of things. A lot of support. You know, I done played sports. I done been through that. I understand the whole diaspora on the sports shit in terms of black athletes coming up in school, from the white schools to the black schools to the public schools to the private school. I done seen it all. So I understand that, but most of the time they give you that. If you smart in engineering and shit like that, watch that fucking support fall off. Ain't gonna be no support for that. A young black man when I was coming up was doing good. You was doing something in the sports, you gonna be upheld, uplifted. You feel me?
Yeah.
The culture has to change. You know what I'm saying? To where the person, you know, that's not to say that to make the jock any less relevant as a good fucking athlete. He's supposed to do his thing. But what I'm saying is that the smart black man and the smart black woman also need to be have their own lane, and they are not only helped and cultivated at the same rate that the athletes may be, but they need to be upheld by their peers as someone that has some knowledge that even our other racing culture peers, there's other races can't even hold up to ours, and we started with less. It's a pride thing. You know, we could be able to put some things together, and we are. And I'm liking, you know, the future, but I mean, you know, I think the way that you get a real tide on it, brother, is some of this music. And what Barry was saying, it's funny that the man made music, and he was saying, "I'll stop doing love songs and start doing these other songs." You know, he understood that music can sometimes, you know, over trump these algorithms that we're dealing with if the music is done properly.
You're right. You're right. You are definitely right. But you know, I can't get discouraged because I have to still put the content regardless. Let's keep playing. I'm probably gonna be on here for like maybe a couple more minutes, maybe. So we'll see.
Characters until recently to 140, now they increased it to 160. But never mind, 140. What we know is that aggressive speech acts are much shorter. I'm serious completely. There are psychological studies from the 60s, 70s, Princeton studies, and so on, that have demonstrated that aggressive speech acts are much shorter than non-aggressive speech
It
acts.
makes sense. If I'm going to have road rage, I'm going to say fuck you. I'm not going to say, listen, I'm very disappointed with the way that you drove for
Exactly.
characters.
Yes, I mean, exactly.
Rage will come
And
out.
we tend to send love letters.
Yes.
I never heard, for example, of a road rage letter.
Yeah, I love you. Fuck off.
Yeah, and if you would say I love you,
Yeah.
the other party would be very disappointed or taken aback.
And it could be
That's all you have to say.
It could be passive aggressive if it was so short. So yes, this totally.
No,
makes
but even if you say I love you and you mean it,
Yeah.
the other party would usually say that's all he has to say. I mean, what's wrong with this guy?
Right.
It's I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
Love is effusive. Compassion, empathy, they're effusive. In order to engulf, in order to accept, in order to make the glow, you know, in order to create these positive emotions, you need to work hard.
Yes.
And you need to be very verbose.
Yes.
However, in order to injure you, or attack you, or frighten you, or terrorize you, or whatever, usually 2-3 words suffice. So we know from the starting in the 60s and well into the 80s, which is the period that this was studied, we know that aggressive speech acts are much shorter than, so why 140, by the way? What was the technological need for 140? Why not 1,400? I mean, what was the problem? Server space? What exactly limited?
Well, it's. I mean, if you're right, it's I think you are. It's the inference. It's horrendous. They're deliberately fostering aggression.
It's not what I'm saying. I encourage you actually in Plugged In to find the latest interview with the chief engineer of Facebook, former chief engineer. Former chief engineer. And he says, we built it for addiction and we built it with these features, with negative features. And he said, I regret it, I feel horrible, I regret what I've done. And now PBS came up with 2 programs about Facebook, which actually claim that it's an extremely, extremely sinister platform. And it is extremely sinister platform. I'm saying that it's extremely sinister because of the way it's designed and the algorithms behind it. And I'm saying this from the point of view of psychology, clinical psychology. Not, of course you can make use of these platforms in numerous ways, but you're not encouraged to.
You're not rewarded for it.
You're not rewarded for it. I mean, I can give you a knife, and with a wink wink and a nod nod, I can tell you, if you stab Richard, I'll give you 4,000 pounds. And you know I'm good at my, I can do that. Or I can give you a knife and say, no, if you cut the bread for me, I'll be very grateful. I mean, depends how you're motivated. Many people would stab Richard. It's the instrument or the tool is only as good as what you are rewarded for. Rewards, incentive systems, and so on usually determine usage. I think if there was no fear of using knives on people, many more people would use knives on people. Because we have a negative incentive for using knives on people. We don't use them on people. This negative incentive is called prison. Simple.
If you took it away, then maybe people would.
Take that away, and trust me, there will be an epidemic of people stabbing people. So incentives, both negative and positive, regulate behavior. And to a very large extent, by the way, regulate emotions, which it would explain why anxiety, depression, and so on and so forth. Because if you're exposed to utterly negative territory, where negative messaging is rewarded, where negativity rules, where negativity is retweeted and liked, etc., obviously it will poison you. It's a toxic environment. And you're poisoned, simply. As surely as with arsenic in your food. You're poisoned. And your mind begins to change. Neuroplasticity guarantees that. Your mind begins to change. First of all, you begin to defend against this toxicity. And one way to defend is to withdraw. So many people withdraw. I believe social media is the most asocial invention of ever. It encouraged more asocial behavior than anything, before or after, in my view. Social media created an unprecedented wave of withdrawal and atomization. That's a reaction to negativity and so on. And on the other hand, those who have aggressive tendencies and so on would find social media an ideal turf. So they gravitate towards social media and, of course, enhance the toxicity. It's a self-perpetuating feedback loop, a filter, a negative filter, which amplifies and attracts and connects.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, that feedback loop, bro.
Dangerous, lethal.
Yeah, it's part of the thing. You just had to bear with it, bro. I'm not gonna play this song.
No, what he's saying that's what I was saying earlier about the feedback loop. It's like that though. It's like a feedback loop where it creates an echo chamber. And then you can make whatever the echo you want to make. And then if you're trying to get more aggressive, hateful type of interaction, it's like an echo chamber. The hate begets more hate. The hate doesn't beget love. And that's what the man was saying. He was saying the love is not being engaged with like that. You know what I'm saying? So the hate is what drives it. Even if you just hate, it's the dysfunction and the drama. And what do we see all these new? It ain't just Facebook. What do we see all these new social media conglomerates? What do we see them doing? It's the same process. I think that their algorithms are slightly alike in the terms of that. Twitter with the 140, like he said, 1,400 words, 1,400 characters. Excuse me. Why not 1,400? Why 140? Well, it has been noticed. This is the study from the 80s. He said they was doing this psychology study before they even came out with this shit on the internet, that a negative speech incident or a negative speech act is usually less characters. And they use that in the algorithm to generate more negative messages.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
It's supposed to make sense because The whole intention is how can you. I like people to understand this. If you make it through to the end of this live stream, when you look at anything for any device visually, always put this in the back of your mind. How this can make me more a perpetual consumer. That's what people should keep in the back of their mind. How else what I watch or read or whatever makes me more of a better or more perpetual consumer? If you can answer that question, you know the answer what you should do. Either you stay on it or you leave it alone. Or you still deal with it, but deal with it accordingly. That's for food for thought. So let's continue.
Crazy people. This amplification is known as network effect. Of course, all these platforms, social media, were designed as networks. Now you can say, wait a minute, what this guy is saying? I mean, that's a very trite statement. Of course it's a network. Social media network. Why? We have numerous ways of organizing social interactions. Why did social media choose networks? Why didn't they choose hierarchy? Why didn't they choose curated conversations with editors, moderators? Before social media came online, we had other ways of interacting online in the cyber world, which had nothing to do with networks.
No, forums were huge, weren't they?
Forums, for example. I had a forum with 250,000 members. I had a forum for 10 years, 5 years. It had 250,000 members. And it had moderators. We had 30 or 40 moderators. So it was what we call curated conversation. Everyone could say anything. It was super active. Everyone was happy and satisfied. It spawned numerous other forums. It said, what was wrong with this model? In other words, our natural assumption or instinctive assumption, we were brainwashed. We were brainwashed by social media to believe that the only way to run social media is with a network model. It's not true. This model was selected on purpose because it's the only model that has what we call network effects. Now, network effects leads back to epidemiology. Network effects are an epidemic. Simply epidemic. Infection, intellectual and emotional and psychological infection of people by other people. Exactly as you would spread the Black Death or Ebola, you spread your social media. Social media could have selected, as I said, a hierarchical model, curated model, and any of 20 or 30 existing models for online interaction, yet they chose none of them. They chose the only model, which is self-propagating, self-replicating, invades your DNA, your psychological DNA, alters your brain via neuroplasticity, conditions you, and later gets you addicted. The only model that does this is network, because of network effects. So this created shared psychosis, in many cases, mass hysteria in many cases, cults, including death cults, including teenage death cults, and it created new types of role models, such as school shooters. So network effects theoretically can be leveraged for
What's
good.
that?
Example
Did you get
would be
that?
Wikipedia. Can be leveraged. But even Wikipedia, for example, started as a network
Yeah, I
and
heard
gave
all
up on the
that.
model. Why did it give up on the model? Because it became a cesspool of aggression, misinformation, slander, libel. So at some point,
You were an editor for Wikipedia from the early days.
I was one of the 100 founders. We were 100.
You know what? I will do this because I decided I had to go back to this that I did now almost 2 years ago. I think I need to do another recap show of this fully now because this is really telling of what we see in the modern technical age we see today. I hope y'all don't understand the real power of social media and its not only its flaws, but is this ease it has the effect of people.
Yeah, he made a good point on that. When he spoke on the forums
Mm-hmm.
back back in the day, before a lot of these social media conglomerates got together on this algorithm thing, I would say pre MySpace. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Before MySpace, there was groups. You know, there was forums. So like if you were a aficionado of something, there was a forum for that. You know, if you was a mechanic, there was a mechanic forum, and it was the big forum. You know, where all the mechanics go to, and they got people from all walks of life in mechanics. They have moderators, curated content. You know, you couldn't just post anything. They had different rules. You know, if you hadn't been a member for a certain amount of time, you couldn't post stuff. If you post some inflammatory things, or if you even posted some off-topic thing in a certain topic, it might have been about fuel injection, and you keep putting carburetors in there, and they're gonna be like, "This is fuel injection. Take this to carburetor. We're gonna move this over. If you keep doing that, we're gonna restrict you from posting things." There was a curated moderation. And then what did he say? He said a lot of those people left his forum and went and spawned their own forums, right? So I was a part of some of the forums back in the days on music.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, I got in contact with a lot of my successful producers still doing music today. Uh, very, very good at what they do. We used to battle on the forums before MySpace existed, before Facebook, because we were all part of the forum where you could post your music freely, ask for critic, you know what I'm saying, constructive criticism. We had, organic competitions where, you want to enter your shit, bam, you know what I'm saying? Whoever wins get X amount of dollars, woozy. This was all without a curated model like the network he's speaking on. That's why the movie with Tom Hanks, The Network, it was very eerie. Someone from within that organization was in contact with those producers if they were not the producer themselves in some form or fashion. I don't know if they executive produced or consulting producer, but somebody in that movie, The Network, and the man keep talking about the network effects. I heard exactly what he said, Chaos. When you said, I was already hearing that. I'm like, yeah, because that's that feedback effect, that network effect. It's where it's self-propagating, like a virus, right? You know, it's spread, and it's a psychological virus spread upon the interwebs. This is some shit that we could have never planned for. You know, you could see it coming, but I mean, you have thought that they would be so sinister to make an algorithm to make people hate each other? You would have never thought in this day and age I thought everything was altruistic and we were looking to go to Nirvana and everybody is trying to be peaceful and loving, and no, they're actually, if people were trying to do that, they're actually actively going the other way. I imagine if it's enough love to be spread around, yeah, it'll be some demons and it's always light and dark, but maybe things would get a little better if people were promoting love over hate. This is just my idea. I ain't no psychologist. You know what I'm saying? I took a couple sociology courses in college, but I ain't no psychologist. But I
Yeah.
would think even if it's unpopular, I've seen them take unpopular things and run it through their system and make it popular, even though it might hurt the person who is ingesting it. So, promoting the hate stuff. So, I imagine if they was to promote the love stuff more, like when people is trying to help other people, when you got philanthropy, real philanthropy, you know what I'm saying? Technology, things that could help uplift the person, a people, or community, or culture, or a nation. You would think those things would just get a little more of a bump, even if everybody don't want to ingest it. Cool, that's cool. But guess what? if they can bump up the hate and make people damn near kill each other, they can turn it up. They got a dial over there, but they can turn that algorithm up to almost make people kill themselves or kill each other. They can turn it up. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
That's too much power for one man to wield.
Mm-hmm. It's too much power. But yeah, like I said, I'll probably have to recap this. I might have to probably do remix part 2 of this, only solely on this alone. I hope you guys enjoyed or learned something more than enjoyed this stream. I think there was a lot of jewels dropped, a lot of things that can be really I would say this is something you could get out of and be clear about the difference and the integration of technology and the power of social media and its effects today. And I'll say this personally, because I will probably cover some many other topics. I never talk about the TikTok. And TikTok is one of those same social media outlets, as well like IG, Twitter, etc., that operate in the same algorithm. The problem with TikTok is much more a worser platform because it draws in the attention span of human beings to be much less than it should be.
And the CCCP got a very high stake in that shit. And it's funny that Microsoft teamed up with them because with the new law, basically, you got a foreign entity running a company such as that's manufacturing opinion in a possible target country, us.
Mm-hmm.
And what is their major goal that we see? It is decreasing the as Twitter is to journalism and social media, as TikTok is to long form YouTube, like what we having right now.
Mm-hmm.
15 seconds, a video, whatever it is that they got, you got to do something in 15 seconds that just make people just, you know what I'm saying, stay watching it for 15 seconds. And then that, if you ingest, a month worth of 15-second videos for you to just naturally watch almost a 2-minute video, be very hard.
Yeah, it is hard. It is very hard. But anyway, that's it, everybody. If you're new to the channel, Chaos Rain channel, as always, make sure you hit that red button at the bottom, and also hit the top notification bell for live streams here on the Chaos Rain channel. Also, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Chaos Rain 7 and add me as a friend on Facebook, Eric Gray on Facebook. Those links are in the About section. And do not forget to join my Discord servers. I am trying to grow the Discord servers just as much as I'm growing this channel here on YouTube. So please, everything will be good if you follow me on all outlets. And also, leave a comment at the end of this video. Like always, you know where to find me, people.